What's up, good people? Welcome back. Welcome back. We in the building. Hopefully, I got all the technical issues from yesterday taken care of. Still a few things I could stand to tweak, but we got it up and running and operational. And that's good. That's good. We where we need to be. Y'all see the title. Y'all see the thumbnail. I will be joined by Akeem from the Raw Truth podcast. So, an assistant principal who, yes, we're going to be getting into that. We're going to be talking about all the odds and ends. I just sent him the email. I'm about to roll the intro, and then we're about to get into it. And that's that. And I say I'm about to roll the intro, but the intro not nowhere near ready to go. Keep telling y'all I'm going to get this right. I'm going to get my mornings worked out to where the show is going to start promptly on time every day. But got a few kinks I'm working out. Building it while I'm flying, but it will be together. We'll be a fully functional operational machine. Coming soon. But right now, y'all can hear that intro right there. Let me formally. We already sent out the invite. Aaron B, Pablo, Omega Dread, see y'all down in the building. See people coming on in. Salute and shout out to all of you. Salute and shout out to everyone who are making it in. Whether you're catching the upload or catching it live, make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. And here we go. We got it now. Let's roll.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show.
Thank you.
What's up? What's going on, good people? Welcome back to the show. About to get this thing started. Well, not officially. I mean, my guests have not officially arrived, but he's definitely on the way. We exchanged some emails and getting sent him the link. Sent him the link, so he should be joining momentarily. Should be joining momentarily. But be that as it may, shout out to everybody in the building. Stoic One in the building says peace, blessings, Bernard, Riley, and Chet. Al Boogie in the building says should be a goodie. Definitely. I actually did a one-on-one with this brother on his channel. He has a podcast. So real good brother, very intelligent brother. So he should be definitely having a good one. Snuggles. We got my main man, my big homie Snuggles in the building. Shout out to Snuggles. He says Interstellar. What do Interstellar got to do with this conversation? Why did you say Interstellar very randomly? Little known fact or side note, Interstellar does happen to be one of my favorite movies. Relatively newer movie, Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, that was a damn good movie. He said, this topic. Yes, this topic. Yes. This topic is a definite topic that we need to dig into. I'm gonna have to look up the brother's phone number and hit him direct on his cell. I'm gonna have to do that. I got his phone number. He sent just give me his number in one of the email correspondence. So I'm gonna call him directly and see what's going on. Call him directly and see what's going on. But yeah, this is definitely a good topic that we got to get into. Omega Dress says the irony, the violence has gone down because a bully is checked by everyone to prevent a slaughter school shooting. Wow. Okay. See, now you got me saying stuff I don't need to be saying on the air. Cool people realize we going to fair because he gonna lay everything down. Okay, I don't know what he talking about. Shout out to Pablo. I see Pablo down there. Me and Pablo got a one-on-one coming down the pipeline pretty soon because I joined his panel recently, but very spontaneously. Well, he was doing a de facto response to one of my streams. So I, went on and hopped on and chopped it up with him for a bit. We had a good conversation. So we're gonna piggyback on that and a few other things. So be looking out for that one. Now at the expense of having some dead air on the air, I'm about to run and grab my phone. So I'm gonna need y'all to stand down and stand by while I go do that. But in fact, I probably can give y'all some something to listen to. There you go. All right. I am back. And I am trying to contact my guest. This is more my fault than his. More my fault than his. The wires not being quite together. But see, here's the thing. All right. Give me a minute, fellas. Stand down and stand by. As I said, I'm trying to track down my guest. So stand down and stand by. We're going to definitely have a good show for you. Good show for you, because me and him already touched on this topic off the air, and it was such a good conversation. I just had to stop him and say, hold up. This is a show. We got to do this one on the air. So we definitely going to be having this conversation. So I'm trying to make sure we get it together. So stand by for a second. I'm working on bringing them on right now as we speak. All right, just spoke to him, and he will be here in 5 minutes. The guest will be here in 5 minutes, which means we got 5 minutes to. Let me fix my clothes. We got 5 minutes to chop it up about anything, whatever you want to talk about. Let's go. Omega Dreads, float me out there a messed up comment. Float me out there a messed up comment to respond to. That's how we could do that until the guest formally arrives. But yeah, a lot of things been going on. Have to go through all kinds of technical things. It's amazing. Just a simple act of getting a new laptop completely melts down your entire system. Melted down everything. Had to re-upload everything. Had to reinstall everything. Thought I had everything installed, but then this wasn't installed and that wasn't installed, and it was a lot of work. It was like a whole, well, perhaps 1 day worth of work, but I ended up stretching it out to 2 days worth of work, just getting everything back operational around here. And yes, Omega Dreads is right. Like the show. Definitely like the show. Olu TV Falcon Black in the building. He says, there are taxes in hell, bro. I think hell is the tax. Why would there be taxes in hell? I think if you're in hell, you're paying the tax. You're paying the tax from your life, from all the things that you did or didn't do right or wrong in your life. Now, that's one of my problems with hell. The Christian concept of hell, and there are some biblical scholars, I'll throw out that word, hermeneutics, people who may have different interpretations and all kinds of different things. But one thing, when you break it down, when it comes to the concept of hell, the Christian version of it, as I understood it, it's not contingent upon whether or not you're a good person or not. It's contingent upon whether or not you believe the right thing or not. Whether you, so it's about that. There's other odds and ends and interpretations, and some people may highlight this part or that part or what Paul said right here, but it's not contingent upon whether or not you're good. Like, you could be a great person, but then get offered Christ and then reject it, and whoop, to hell you go. I always had a problem with that. It's not about. It was never about the outcomes. The the results of one of said individual's life. That was one problem that I had. But this will be a short ramble because we are joined by the special guest of the evening, Akeem from the Raw Truth Podcast. What's up? What's going on?
What's going on, man? I'm good, brother. How about you?
I'm great. I'm great. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. I don't know if you saw the thumbnail. I put Joe Clark in the thumbnail because
Yeah. Oh,
that's when you told me that you were a principal at a school.
yeah.
That's just how I envisioned you. You walking around there with a bullhorn and a baseball bat, ready for war out there.
You're right, but I mean, to be honest with you, man, it's like a barbecue, man. So, I'm being around a lot of good kids, and some are sketchy. So that's just how life goes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. One thing that we had talked about just to get as we crawl into the main topic, let's talk about something I already asked you before about how did you even find out about this space. Well, now before we get into that, give your background because you have a podcast off of YouTube that's doing quite well. You've collabed with Coach Greg Adams and a few other bigger names. So yeah, so talk about that before we get into the main topic, just your background and how you got into this whole thing that black men are doing where we're talking now. So yeah, how did you get into all this?
I think a while back, I just looked at the atmosphere, man. And I saw some things that I just felt like men were too quiet about in regards of leadership, fatherhood, and just being a man. You know what I mean? So I started a podcast about a couple years ago. It just hit like it kind of went on its own, like it just rocketed. You know what I mean? And it started to be real successful. It's called Raw and Uncut Podcast. And we pretty much talk about pretty edgy subjects when it comes to like relationships and man stuff pretty much. So it took off, and then I decided I wanted to do some YouTube stuff. So Raw and Uncut, and then you could find me either on the Raw and Uncut and it'll say the Raw Truth. Because I'm in this thing, man, to open up to everybody in regards of what I think the truth looks like and what's actually going on. So I got into it. Coach Greg Adams is one of the guys I've always kind of checked out, and he extended his hand, and we worked together more than a few times. Probably going to be doing a project with him pretty closely here soon. But him and some other guys, and even yourself, man, I like to collab with brothers, that with equal-minded type of thinking, you know what I mean? And, we all have common goals, but we all think different, but we all are kind of in the same atmosphere when it comes to, how we come to our narrative.
Right on, definitely. Yeah, I'm right along that same path of thought that you're on right there. You said Coach Greg Adams, like y'all, like I think you said that the last time we talked. Yeah, how did that work? Y'all like know each other personally? Like,
nah. So he's from Southern California. I'm from Northern California. So I think we kind of clicked that way. I mean, he was a cool cat. We did a show together. And then, we just exchanged numbers, and then we just start texting it out or talking to each other a little bit. But he's a guy that I felt like it's kind of mentored me through this thing. You know what I mean? He's gave me some serious advice. But also too, man, just, we kind of collab a little bit on thought process when it comes to certain things. But I mean, he's a good dude, man. I mean, he's probably the number one YouTuber that I listen to on a regular basis because he's so broad and different ideas on thinking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just more of his way of thinking about men really going their own way. Let's not validate ourselves through women. I've always preached that too, but he really preaches it in a way that I feel like needs to be heard. So
yeah,
shout out to him.
Right on, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into. I'm gonna ask some ugly questions when we start talking about you being a principal at the school. I feel like you down there at ground zero, witnessing and seeing a lot, seeing the basically the origin story of a lot of the stuff that we end up talking about when we're talking about what's going wrong in the community. Before we dig deep into that, just how did you get into that? Was that your goal? Something you wanted to do? Did you want to be a principal, or were you a teacher first, and then gradually just worked your way into that? Like how did all of that come to be?
Yeah. So my backstory is that I'm originally from San Francisco, California. And people don't know that's a great city, but the hoods there are not. And I grew up in the area where it was impoverished, let's say that. And just I played football, and football my legs got me to Division I college, and I played at San Jose State. From San Jose State, I went ahead and got a degree in history, and minored in psychology. So I did that. I was a history teacher for 1 year, and then me being a history teacher told me a lot. Meaning, it showed me what America is actually teaching our kids, which is false. And then it showed me that I can't be in the classroom with students all day long. I'm not making an impact here. I mean, to my students in the class, yes, kids love me. They was all, but for me, I needed to be in administration. So then I went ahead and got my administrative degree and transferred to the administrative side of education, which I feel like I've been doing this for 15 years now. So yeah, man, I've been in the game.
Why do you feel like you couldn't make an impact being a teacher? Like what was the problem there that stopped you from making an impact?
I only had a certain amount of kids that I would impact. So in administration, now I impact everybody. I'm in the whole, I see all the kids all the time, and I don't see like only my 30 in the classroom. You'll have 31 period, 30 the next, but you don't have all the kids on all levels. So now everybody does not know who you are. And I felt like, especially me being a black man, I needed to be visually in charge. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I need for them to see how I carry myself. I'm me all the time, right? So I don't code switch at the school. Like I'm really who I am. I'm just a professional black man. You know what I mean? And I wanted to show them that you can be culturally understanding who you are and still be in an environment and make six figures. You get what I'm saying? You don't need to change who you are. You just need to make sure that it's professional. There's ways of doing it. And I'm at a school where, it's 100% free lunch. So that just tells you what the neighborhood's like, right? So
time out. You saying 100% free lunch, meaning that nobody in the school qualifies or household income is high enough to where they don't qualify for free lunch.
Exactly. So for a long time it was 98%. So we had 2% that were only their parents qualified to actually pay lunch, right? So what we did as a school is that we just went ahead and got a grant for school and just paid for everybody that comes on campus, because we didn't it's tough for a parent to fill out information of their finances and wait for qualification. They know, and then we have all their information. So we went ahead and just have them sign up for it now, and just make it real easy for everybody to get free lunch. And we give them breakfast, we give them lunch, and then we even package it up. We got a table of kids want something before they leave. We got bags of food. Even during the pandemic, when we wasn't open, like we allow kids to come get breakfast, lunch, in organized way. You know what I mean? Because some kids depend on that. You know what I mean? They depend on that.
Yeah, that was one of the disheartening things that I heard with this whole COVID thing. When they said where kids are being schooling at home. And I said to myself, I said to myself after the fact, after they said that the percentage of kids that actually, or families that depended on that school lunch, the breakfast and lunch as part of the, if they don't got that, then the parents got to actually, I don't know, buy groceries. And it was a thing that they said that some parents, it was taxing them a bit to have to be buying groceries. And I was just, it blew me away. That blew me away. Like how I was blown away that ended up being a thing. Like, and I come on. I mean, we all black, so we got some understanding of a free lunch and how it works. So we understand how it works. We were either on it as a kid ourselves or whatever. So, but it's still shocking as an adult who tries to make sure I do everything to make sure that the bare minimum, even at my lowest, at my brokest, the basic needs had to be met. So it just blew me away to hear that people were struggling because they couldn't send their kid. They couldn't put their kid on the bus to send them to school so he can get breakfast and lunch. That blew me away.
Normally the state of America is not really shown on television. They package America up in a great gift box of if you work really hard, here's your gift, right? So there's a lot of people that are able to work, and then there's some that's not, and those who's not, like the ones who's on disability or the ones mentally ill, mental health, a lot of those individuals not able to work. That doesn't also mean that they're not having babies and being in communities that's impoverished where they're trying to raise kids, and those kids are affected. And as well as I know, a trauma in itself is poverty. Poverty stricken really is difficult on a lot of our kids in our community and families. You know what I mean? So those are life. I mean, there's a lot of us that look back at the things we do. Like for me, I was impoverished. I didn't have a lot of shoes when I was coming up. So for some reason now I look in my closet and I got 190 pair of shoes, right? And because I just buy shoes and I don't know why I'm buying shoes. I'm like, oh, I just love shoes, but really I'm a grown man. I don't really wear a lot of shoes other than when my squares to work, or tennis shoes to go work out in a run and do whatever I need to do. But a lot of these shoes I just give to the community and the kids now. I mean, but I just enjoy buying shoes, and that's all a part of me growing up, not having, going without. So, just little things like that. But to other kids, it's huge trauma that just carries them, and a cycle of poverty happens when you don't get an education. It's our job to change the cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. So I got my ideas on that, and I do have a view of America that you typically going to get back what you put in. You can, I talk about it all the time, working hard. I've talked about how I've had plenty of moments where I just had the worst luck. I was doing blue collar work, would be working a job, get a few raises, moving on up, and then boom, the company shut down or mass layoffs, and then I'm starting back over. There's times I had to start back over and work for a wage that I'm embarrassed to say live on the air, but so I do feel like hard work will win in the end. So sometimes, so I struggle when I look at people in those extreme poverty situations, because I feel like what are they doing to climb out of it? But when you're teaching right there at the school, you're teaching, you're at the school. Got to deal with this elephant in the room. Well, first off, let's just make it clear. The school is, I think you said it's like, in our last conversation, you said it's like 97% black.
98, yep.
98% black. All right. And it may or may not be hard to gauge how many fathers are involved. I'm not even saying, in the home. How many, how can, is it a way, or how can you gauge how many fathers are involved?
Out of
before
98%.
you before you even answer that one, Ray Clemens in the building. And with my whole new setup, my screen got smaller, so it's harder for me to even read the super chats now. But he said Ray Clemens in the building says salute Bernard Riley. Thanks for the interview. Shout out to the brother. We definitely need more of a black male presence in the education system. Absolutely. Yep. That's definitely part of the reason why I definitely had to set up this interview, because it is important. And that's why we're going to talk to this brother, is even when we open it up later on. Hopefully, well, you told me you budgeted. You got a few hours, couple hours to hang out.
Yeah, man. I'm in a good position in order to
you told me
when I need to.
You said you can walk in late and put your feet up on the desk. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Shout out to you for that. That's how brothers need to be. That's how brothers need to be. Work your way on up to where you're calling the shots. Can't nobody question you for coming in 10 minutes late. Snuggles 668 in the building. He says, I would like, okay, let me make that bigger. Let me blow that up, make that bigger. He said, I would like everyone to get more professionals like this to come up on Bernard's platform and educate the masses. This is what's needed. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, I talked about father involvement. So let's just go ahead and go down that path right now. You sound like you was about to confidently throw a number on it.
Well, yeah, we got the number. So it's 7%. So 7% of our 98% are fathers, active fathers. Meaning active fathers mean that they are listed in what we call Illuminate, which is Illuminate is a system we use to have all of our kids' information numbers. So if their name is inside of the primary or the second primary adult for us to make phone calls to, we can see it. So we can judge who's involved and who's not. Now, if they're not in that and they're in a place called other, that means they're not really involved with the kid like most parents should, right? So you got single mothers, a lot of single mothers there, a lot of the fathers that are there. Either they run the neighborhood in ways that we don't desire, or they're just really good fathers and they're involved. So this is where we're at as a whole, as a school. But 7%, but you see a lot. We are a really good athletic school. Of course, we got 98% brothers running around. So our basketball team and football team are, pretty much in Northern California, a staple. And so what happens is that you'll see a lot of uncles and cousins and a lot of black men that just cheer on the kids that actually come to the games. And
well, you know what? Well, check this out. See, what I was about to say is that I was going to ask you, because I experienced this because I coached basketball. Mm-hmm. I always saw fathers at the game. Mm-hmm. When I coached the black boys, and most of them, the dad was involved. Even if the parents weren't together, I would still see the dad there. He would be bringing them to practice sometimes, or he would be at the games. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't notice that, and I would see that, and then I got to thinking, and and thought processes like this is part of what led me to talking about these issues, because when you use that standard of whether or not his name is on the call list. Mm-hmm. It was a time when my name wasn't on the call list post divorce or post separation, and when we were married, she was always the one that we decided what school they were going to go to, but she was the one that actually went and did the paperwork and this or that or blah 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 and got everything signed up. She was the one that went and did that. So when we separated or divorced or whatever, she would leave my name off of that, and I would run into situations where I'm coming up there for the kids and they telling me I'm not on the list and everything. And keep in mind, I in that situation, the kids were with me more than they were with her, and I wasn't on the list off some goofy stuff. Mm-hmm. Off some, so that's why I question that 7%. But
so let me get into that a little bit. So we know as a staff, right? Fatherhood is presence, right? So we have events, we have award ceremonies, we track all this. So, and the
Yes.
reason why we track all this is so that we can better ourselves in what we do.
Mhm.
So if we have award ceremonies on a Saturday morning for a group of kids, we go all the way out to, you know, having a limo bus pick the kids up from their house, and you know, they're celebrating this way. They're honor roll, they're on the dean's list, they you know, they're 4.0, they're, you know, and then you know, we give them a day of, you know, celebration. We also invite the parents, right? We also invite the parents to join in on the festivities. This is before the pandemic, of course, but and so we write down who comes and who doesn't. And then also too, we like to set up exit meetings every year with our parents, on expectations for next year, where your kid is at right now. So that way, because we have a 98% graduation rate.
Oh,
So
that's good.
this is number one in the state, right? So the thing is that in order for us to have this, we got to have a certain level of communication. So if we have this level of communication, we have data to prove who's around and who's not. Now I can see a father is working extremely hard. He's unable to sometimes go to these things, so we don't knock him for that. But we do still know by understanding situations, and then you can really tell a lot of times too. Moms will tell you, "Oh yeah, he don't have no. He doesn't. That's not what he has. You know what I mean? I'm his sole parent, or I'm his whatever." And then there's some fathers that just like, "Oh yeah, he don't. I'm the sole provider for him. There's no mom or nothing like that."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that gets at me when I hear, you know, fathers not involved. But you know, it bothers me because I know the lengths I went to make sure that I had everything squared away. You know, post divorce. I mean, that's an important thing. That's one thing I don't give brothers a whole lot of slack on that one when
Me
it
neither.
comes to the
Me neither.
comes to the kids. I don't give a lot of slack on that one. I have heard some brothers come on here and explain some situations where I was like, "Ooh, that was tough." Like there's some brothers who just said the situation was so toxic and out of control, and this chick she moving from state to state to try to keep him from his kid, and he just said, I've tried, I fought it in the courts. The kid just going to know when I'm 18, when you turn 18 and come look for me. I'm gonna have all the paperwork to show everything I did to fight for it. There's another brother trying to get half custody who I talked to on this platform. Shout out to Perfect Blackness. He said he like $33,000 in, and I forgot how many years, and still haven't even got 50-50 custody. So I salute the brothers who
Absolutely.
fighting, and but when I hear about those that don't care to fight, don't care to to be in the life of the kids, I just think that's some that's some nonsense right there. But my spidey sense go off whenever I hear that, because I know a lot of the things that you said that the mothers have said.
Mhm.
I know I know the mother of my children has, she said some things about me that I know were not true, that she knew wasn't true. The fact that I got custody now proves that it wasn't true. So I question that one, but you know, the data is the data, and that's one that that black
Yeah,
men
I was
gotta
in
hold
a
the L
situation.
on in some situations. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
most definitely.
go
I
ahead. Oh,
understand. Definitely understand. I mean, me and my son's mother is, you know, we wasn't always connecting, but you know, we ended up working it out. He's 18 today. You know, so
yeah,
I'm proud of him and what he's becoming as a young man. But I definitely understand there is a lot of different situations for men, and all I continue to tell them is keep fighting. That's it.
yeah, yeah. And just as part of your backstory, I didn't cover. You are married, right? You said you had been married 20 years, I believe.
13.
13. I don't know where I got 20 from. Been married 13. Okay, so if your son is 18, you've been married 13. So that was a moment. There was a moment when y'all had a kid and y'all wasn't married. So you probably
No, yeah, we wasn't. Yeah, now I had him by another woman.
oh,
So
okay, got you,
yeah,
got
this was back in the day when I was a young stallion. You know what I mean? Out there, you know, and you know, his mom, she was cool, and it just didn't work out, man. I have a low tolerance for ignorance, and I have a low tolerance for if I'm not happy, then nobody's gonna be happy. So I'm out. You know
Uh-oh.
what I mean? This is what it is, man. Like, I have standards and rules, and if you don't fit into this program, then it's time for me to move on. You know what I mean? I don't waste time, and I don't look back. So I take care of my son though, and he was with me about 80% of the time. And it's just like it worked out that way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right on.
Yeah.
Shout out to Soul Provider Speaks. I will be on his show. I'm getting the Pacific time messed up. I think 4:30 Pacific, so maybe 7:30 EST, or is it 3:30? I don't know. Let them know in the chat, Soul Provider, what time we going on. I'm forgetting, but no, I think EST it'll be either 6:30 or 7:30 or something like that. But I will be making an appearance on his show. Going to be on Ike's show coming up in about a week. I think next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll be making the rounds, doing a little doing interviews with people on various channels. Okay, so he said it right there. See, okay, so 3 p.m. CST. That means 6 p.m. EST for those on the East Coast. So y'all be looking out for that. That'll be going on. That'll be going on today. So so shout out to Soul Provider Speaks. Also, all right. So let's talk about the problems that you run into, because I mean you have spoken positively. You have spoken positively, and that's good. That's good. I didn't necessarily want to hear all doom and gloom, but obviously being, you know, a principal at an all black school in a low income area, you're gonna deal with orders of magnitude of all kinds of effery. so let's deal with that. You know, the parent. Well, let's start. Let's start with the kids and then work our way up to the parents. Let's go there, because I want to get into those. The parents are probably worse than the kids. So let's start with the kids and work our way up. See, you agree with that? See, that I knew.
Yeah,
I knew that from coaching basketball. Sometimes a kid would be good. I could deal with the kid. I could talk to the kid. His mama, man. I was like, don't make me cuss you out in front of your kids. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. but anyway, let's deal with the kids first and then work our way up to them old mamas. But
so there's so many different areas when it comes to kids. I mean, you know, when they're in these type of neighborhoods, you got to deal with gangs, and you got to deal with, you know, a lot of impoverished minds. And what I mean by that, impoverished minds are normally the minds who can't see past their neighborhood, who can't see, you know, 2 years or 5 years or 10 years from now. That's an impoverished mind, not knowing the ramifications. If I do this, then this may happen, right? So, you know, we deal with a big gang violent situations when it comes to the neighborhood. And you know, they bring it to school, and you know, when they bring it to school, there's fights, there's drugs being, you know, moved, and you know, there's guns and knives, and you know, just off, you know, just kids that believe that this is the way that I live my life, and this is the way I'm going to conduct my life. So this is how I'm going to live. And you know, it's our job to have intel. You know, we got a lot of kids that actually care about the school and other people's safety. So, you know, little informants on campus lets us know a lot that's going on, from social media to what's going on campus, folks, so we can protect.
So they snitching. So they snitching, in other words.
To be honest with you,
I like it.
Yeah. I don't, you know, I'm a grown man. I don't live by no code of snitching. You know, so for me, yeah, the kids, I always let all the kids know, if you're not telling on somebody, they telling on you. So for you to believe that everybody lives by this code, it's not true. I've had some of the hardest gangsters come in my office, break down and cry, and give me all the information I need to know. So it happens. Then you got some hard ones that just, you know, they've been in and out of juvie, and they know the rules, right? You know, they know.
But what's it like when you dealing with those kids, because I mean, cause we talking high school, so we talking about boys that are damn near grown. You know, we talking 16, 17. Some of them probably who got held back in the first grade. They probably 18 they senior year. You know, so
So
you're really dealing with young men who many of them, I guess they mamas still can make them get up and go to school, but they full blown thugs out there selling drugs and probably packing heat. You know, so
yeah,
what's that like? What is that like? You know?
it's rough. So let me open up and expand it a little bit more. So my school is actually it's two different sectors. We have a sixth, seventh, and eighth grade on the campus that's in a one huge wing of their own, and then we have a regular high school from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th on a whole nother wing, and I'm over all of those.
Okay.
So I see a lot from even the younger kids, the ones who are in sixth grade, and you can see their development at a very young age when they're normally the young kids are the marijuana kids. They're the only ones that sell the edibles, or they're the ones who may bring a knife or something to school, but they're still pretty young and hard, and they gangbang real hard. So those are the ones that you have a problem with. You got to have a certain level of respect though, from the community. I've been there so long that a lot of the parents tell you to stay away from me. You know what I mean? Just out of respect, because they know that I'm not going to do you wrong, but I'm a fair man, and I'm going to treat you the way that society is going to treat you. Now, there's a human aspect in it where I understand certain kids have certain disadvantages, but I'm not going to let you not get away with some type of consequence. And I'm a father myself, and I wouldn't want my son to be treated any differently, right? So just walking around on a daily basis, to the human eye, it looks fine, but it's really not fine. They have their own they have their own underworld, you know what I mean? From social media to texting. We had to eliminate lockers.
Back up. Explain that. Eliminate lockers. That's a foreign concept. Schools without lockers.
Yeah. So we don't. Yeah. We found lockers was a place of storage for, pretty much all the negative things, right? And we found most kids didn't trust the other kids around anyway, so they didn't put anything in lockers anyway. It was pretty rare that they did it. Most of them carry backpacks around pretty much all day, so it was an easy move. But a lot of times, man, they use that to move stuff or even to sell. So they'll be like 17B, right? 17B, and the combination lock is this, that, and the other. So give me the money here. It's in 17B. They go to the combination lock, open it up, and there you go, right? We got drugs inside the locker room.
Oh, hey, hold on, time out.
Yeah.
Hey, as somebody who knows personally some, okay, I'll go ahead and tell this story. My brother, he was no idiot, but he was an athlete, was good enough to. I'm not going to overrate him. I don't know if he would have played his senior year, he would have had a shot at Division I. He bare minimum would have just went and played Division II basketball. Like he was real good. He was about 6'2", 6'3", but had mad point guard skills. Like he could ball. He could ball. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. So he came up with the geniusly stupid idea that, hey, because he smoked weed from time to time, or on weekends. But he was like, hey, I'm sitting here smoking weed. All my friends smoke weed.
Mm-hmm.
I might as well go ahead and sell it to him. That way it's all in house, and then that was just his logic. It was stupid. It was stupid because he ended up getting caught and messed up his senior year of basketball.
Yep.
But that was his logic on how he was just going to do it. I mean, because that way, him and his friends, they ain't all trying to, find the weed, man. He was like, no, it's all right here. Got it in my book bag. Just the money that you was gonna spend with Nuck. No, just give me that money and I got you. It was just gonna be in house with his little circle of friends. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of people do that. A lot of otherwise law-abiding citizens that I know of have done that in college. So it's a thing, but it's stupid. So he got caught. It was in his locker. He got caught. Somebody snitched. Somebody told on him, and And so there was his book bag was in his locker, and the weed was in his book bag that was in his locker. So when you said that they got some little system where they got basically, you're saying they have like a floating lock system where they find a random locker without a lock on it, stick their stuff in an empty locker that don't got a lock on it, put their lock on it, and then tell the person that, hey, the bag is on locker M57, and then they go there and click, get the stuff, and then be gone. It's like, so it's only in the spot. It's like they created a system where it's in an untrackable spot for roughly 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm sorry. Look, I'm not encouraging them kids to be doing drug deals, but that's pretty damn smart. I got to give them props on that.
Yeah. So, and we have cameras that face the locker. So what I would do is I'm coming in early in the morning. I'm there normally, 6:15 in the morning, and a lot of kids don't show up to about 7:30. So all I'm doing is looking straight at the lockers to see, certain kids, and we know a lot of them, the ones who really sell a little bit, they wear the weed. They try to wear the weed socks, or they'll be sitting down and you see weed socks, and normally that's a sign to the kids that they got some stuff. And so a lot of these kids don't think we know a lot of these things. So all I used to do was look at the lockers and see the kids early in the morning that I know walk around their backpacks and they don't use lockers. And what they do is that they'll come in early and they'll have 6 or 7 locations for it because they don't want it on them. If they get caught with it on them, then they can be put up for expulsion or whatever the case may be, or go to juvie or whatever. But so what we do is just watch, and then all we do is we go over there and we cut locks, and we go in and see, and if it's not in there, or some stuff like that, then they just find out, oh well, somebody cut my lock, and we got pie in our face, but I'm okay with having pie on my face if it's going to protect the school in certain ways. And they don't like it. There's a lot of complaining parents, and you going violating our kids' space, and well, this is our space. we run this. You know what I mean?
I didn't realize Ike is clowning me. He's saying brother equals Bernard. No, that wasn't me. That wasn't my story that I was telling about the selling. I saw that. What do you mean brothers equals Bernard? It took a while for that one to click, but nah.
And you said you was moving property.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't out there, man. I tried marijuana actually younger than high school. I was in middle school and tried it for a summer because one of my sister's boyfriends, he used to sell it. It was my older sisters. One of her boyfriends used to sell it, so he used to give it to us for free because he liked watching us get high and then get all giggly and goofy. So I tried it for that that summer. I had some fun with it. I mean, yeah, but after that, I was done. My brother kept doing it, and then you see where it went with his life. So, well, I shouldn't say see where it went with his life. I mean, he rebounded from that, I guess. But yeah, no, it was a setback because basketball. He was supposed to go off to college somewhere, play ball. But yeah, so yeah, that definitely messed up in earlier part of my brother's life, definitely. But that was a good one. Ike, don't say that was me. Nah, man, I don't. I'm never comfortable around drugs, man. I don't want to mess up the algorithm right now, so I'm gonna quit talking about that. But no, that was my actual brother. That was my actual brother. That was a good one. All right. Let's talk about. Hold on, I interrupted you. Did you finish your point? I had to interrupt you to clown with Ike a little bit on that one.
Yeah, I was done. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Shout out to Lionel. I see you in the building. What up, Lionel? All right, let's okay, so far we talk a lot about black male authority in the black community in this space, and so what is it like for the boys? I'm not even talking about the dope boys at the school. I'm just rather them or the other ones, the ones that are decent students or somewhere in between. What is your interactions like with them in terms of you being a big black man. I think you said you were like 6'2" or something like that before, or
Yeah, I'm 6'2",
yeah,
100,
6'2".
170 pounds. I ain't no
Okay,
small guy, so
you said
um,
200,
nah,
270.
270. So
Okay,
I'm on them. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I mean, to be honest with you, man, my relationship with everybody, including those kids, man, they absolutely love me, man. No, even when I catch them, because it's the way that you deliver it to kids. If they know that you give them opportunities, like there are so many times that I've give kids, I don't call kids rolling dice. I can suspend you for that, right? I don't call kids go off school campus, get high, come back, and then we find a way to work it out where you're not getting suspended, but we'll give you some type of consequence. You don't get to 6 a.m. Saturday school, or you're gonna do some community service around here. We're gonna have you cleaning neighborhoods up, while I'm watching you do it. You're gonna pick all this up. You know what I mean? There's ways of being creative where they understand. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm in Sacramento, California, and I'm at a school called Sacramento High School. So, but there are so many ways of doing things where we know that our kids are going to be put in front of a judge at some point for something that they're doing if they continue to go down these paths. So, I mean, these kids respect me, man. They don't press me at all, man. They know what it is. I catch them. We talk about it. We do something. We roll up on them, man, and be like, hey, man, you caught, man. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? These kids, they're just still young kids, man. Even though they're a little hard, but they still young kids, man. These my kids, man. And I still got kids that come to me 10 years ago. They grown men with babies, working jobs, come back up to the school, man. Give me a hug. And, I got nothing but respect. You know how many times I done went to a campus and filled a kid's refrigerator up with food on school campus when they ain't got nothing. Or me going to baby showers for young ladies when their kids it's 10 years ago. They got kids and they're doing things different now. You know what I mean?
There
So,
we go. No, you froze for a second. Oh,
no,
you
I'm
still
saying,
wait, hold on. I think you good now. You was chopped and screwed for a split
okay.
second.
I'm
Like
sorry.
your internet just fluttered in and out. Mine do that sometimes too, where I'll be talking, it'll do it, and then it'll just start back. So you good. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just being a part of the neighborhood. I go to neighborhood events. It's a great school, man, and we do great things at the school. So I just try to understand these kids are going to do kid things and they're going to do some illegal things at times, but it's our job it's my job to not only discipline the kids, but in the time of disciplining, you want to father the kids. You want to be that leader and mentor for them. Like this ain't, I always tell them, this is not you. Stop being tough. You soft. I see you cry. I done seen your woman break your heart. You walk around moping, right? So I understand that these kids are young men, and then even the young ladies, like, why are you trying to act tough? Like this is not even you. You don't even gang bang. I've known you since 6th grade. Now you're in 11th tripping. You get what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
so much. It's just the way you deliver it to kids for them to respect you. And I don't have like yesterday, for example, right? Because we're in school. We have a hybrid type of deal right now. And just yesterday, it was this kid, and I don't want to say his name, but it's one of my favorites. We all have favorites, and he dropped out in 8th grade though, and so I could not locate him for nothing. Like he's supposed to come to the high school, and I was asking all the kids, he asked the neighborhood kids, where's this young man at? Like, where's he at? Why ain't he going to school? And they tell him, oh, he's trapping, he's dope dealing, whatever he's doing. And I know he's doing something he wasn't supposed to because I knew his family life. Mom on dope. She, just pretty much let them do what let him do what he wanted to do, and he just, had to survive any means necessary. So, I've been asking for some, a couple years. So it was a young lady that came up to me yesterday, and I asked her, and I said, hey, so have you talked to this young man? And she was like, yeah, I just talked to him. Matter of fact, I'll FaceTime him for you. I was like, oh, great. You know what I mean? So she pulled out her phone. She FaceTimed this young man got on the phone with her, because I've been asking all the neighborhood adults, all the neighborhood kids about this young man, because I guess he's a big dealer in the neighborhood. So everybody knows who he is and what he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he pops up on the phone. And so I did snatch the phone from her and like, oh, so we not going to school. And I've been looking for you and you ain't going to school. We got to get you in school. Now I know because of his credits, and he dropped out since 8th grade. He's supposed to be in 11. He's not able to go to my school, but that doesn't mean you don't need to go to school, right? So there's accelerated programs in the area. And if I got to pick you up, bring you down there, and get you enrolled, this is what we're going to do, right? So, I'm the guy that, that's trying to preach to you and all that. But the reception I got was like the kid was almost in tears. Like, this is a hardcore 17-year-old kid that hadn't been to school since 8th grade. That's a grown man that's calling you, caring about what you doing in your life. I didn't ask him about the drug dealing. I didn't go into what he was doing was wrong. What I'm trying to do is get you educated and get you into an environment where you can make better decisions for yourself than just the ones you've been making. So, like, after I get out of here this morning, I got a couple of meetings, but I'm going to this young man's house. I'm gonna pick him up and I'm gonna bring him to this accelerated program. And if I can't find you, trust me, I'm gonna find you. Like, now I know where you're at. Oh, the neighborhood will tell me where you are now. Now I'm gonna get a hold of you, and I will be at your house picking you up to bring you to this program. And then I'm going to make sure those connections I have at that school keep me updated. Is he coming to school? Is he following procedures? Is he doing it? Like, I'm overreaching, right? But I think certain kids need that in order for you to be successful. And if I could save one, I'll be happy with that, man. You know what I mean? So I think that's why we need a lot of brothers in the school too, because we care like parents. And that's why I told you when we first got on, it's kind of like me going to a barbecue, man. It's like, these are my kids, man. These are my family. Whether they're, related to me or not, that's how I carry myself. I'm high-fiving and I'll be at your basketball game. And if you got something going outside of school, man, like, just let me know, man. I'll try to do my best to come. And I hired, because where I'm at, they call us all, like, every one of us are deans of school, right? So I'm the head dean of all the school where I'm at. So I've even hired the other deans to take care of different parts of the school. Them are all black. I even got a black woman in there. I got a black woman. I got 5 black males that run the school. You know what I mean?
Oh, now, so you specifically hired black men on purpose. Like, it wasn't no accident. You made sure that you put black men in them positions.
Yes. And now the person who's above me, though.
Clap, man. I like to hear that.
The person above me is actually a white lady, though. But
you got to get her up out of there. No,
she's one of them freedom fighters, man. She's one of them people back in the day that would be on that bus with them freedom fighters, and she's not playing. She you get what I'm saying? She's not visible really on the school. She just helps out on what we need in order for the school to function properly. Get me? Like, even if they wouldn't listen. Kids just don't listen to those who they don't really know. You get what I'm saying? So the people the kids that listen, they listen to us because they see us all the time. They don't see her like that. So, but she gets investors to invest money into things, and she does things behind the scenes that really help build what we got going on. You know what I mean?
Right on. All right. One question I do gotta ask. Somebody called her Rachel Dolezal. Omega Dreads, man. Go log out, man. Log out. Go log out, take a nap, and come back, man. You can call her Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, man. We've hired other races, but when they come in, and when you got to deal with a couple of these kids and these parents, for some reason, 2-week notices come in, man. Like, it's difficult, man. The grind is hard, man, and it's tough if you're not tough, man. You know what I mean?
Right on. All right, hold on. Well, my man, Coach Ali, I got to be getting with you pretty soon. Got to get with you pretty soon. Coach Ali's corner in the building. He says men like this don't get enough credit, and I'm sure it's a thankless job. If we want better communities like we say we do, we need men like this out front, and we must support him. Absolutely, absolutely. But one question that do got to be asked, because, and this comes up in this space a lot, is that when it comes, I mean, it's your job. You're a school principal. But one thing that comes up in this space a lot when it comes to mentoring the youth, as they say, mentoring the youth, is that a lot of people, and I do agree with the sentiments. Even though, I coached basketball, and when you're coaching basketball, you're doing some de facto mentoring. But I understand the sentiment, and I've argued that there's some stuff that they're asking the community, men in the community, to do that. Look, that's the parents' job. It starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so how much, how much of that do you average into the equation when you're going above and beyond, off of the clock? You said you're all in the neighborhoods trying to find people. You ain't just Joe Clarking it at the school. You Joe Clarking your way through the neighborhood, finding people, doing all. How much of it do you feel like this is if the parents aren't stepping up to do this, the mom or the dad, rather, even if the dad ain't there, the mom is there, she ain't doing it. Like, so how much do you feel like if the parents are not stepping up doing this, then why am I sitting here off the clock doing this for people who don't even care about their own kids? And does that even to some degree enable them to be the failing parents, to continue to be failing parents by the decent people in the community going out their way above and beyond to do the job that the parents, the people that who created these children, should be doing. What's your thoughts on that?
So I just approach it in the sense of I'm the parent too, right? So we're not taking care of physically the kids, but emotionally we're a huge impact. So I don't equate. And, I'm a 42-year-old man, so I got some young spirit in me, right? So I can still move around, I can still do some things in the community, and all the people around me are pretty much the same age. So we just say, you know what? It is our job. It takes a village to build kids up, but it is our job to impact these kids in an educational sense, right? A lot of these parents have not graduated high school. A lot of these parents have not done the things that they needed to do in order to help their lives.
Sound like the parents need some mentoring. Shit.
Well, we got that too. So the thing is that they have to be willing and want to do stuff like that, right? But yeah. I will tell you, man, like, exactly to answer your question is that we go into it believing that the parent are assisting us more than them assisting the school. We're trying to build a culture of we are the community, right? We are the people the community count on to change life. So y'all know who Stephon Clark is, right? You heard about Stephon Clark?
Yeah,
the kid that was murdered for his cell phone and went like everybody in the country was like, hey, I can't believe he got shot. Well, Stephon Clark went to our school. And yeah, he went to our school. I actually coached a young man in football. I mean, it's crazy, man, to see him go out like that. But we deal with this. We are at community events. We are at marching down the street with these parents and kids. So it's more believed that we are making more of an impact than even parents, right? So that's the way we approach it. Until our spirit is gone, until it's time for me to move on, I'm going to make sure my job before I leave is to hire someone to pass the torch to. Now, I don't think we do that enough in our communities, but also there's a lot of great parents, and we got parent clubs. We got moms clubs that moms helps other moms in different ways, man. we try to do our best to help the community, and I think we do a fair job. I don't think we do a great job because we're we're still behind in so many different areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You talked about the boys and the problems you run into with the boys. Now this is foreign territory for me because I have sons. I don't have daughters. My heart goes out to any man, especially a black man who has daughters. I don't even know. I can't even begin to imagine what my parenting would be like with the daughter. I don't even know how I would. I don't even know how I would deal with those issues. So
Yeah, I have all boys too.
yeah. So in that sense, I can relate to, as a school principal. You got all boys, and you're dealing with boys. What's this like? What is it like dealing with the girls at the high school? Like, what let's just speak on that, because you talked about it from the perspective of the boys, the little wannabe thugs, got nickel bags in the locker and the book bag and all of that. But like, what's going on with the girls at the high school? Like, what are they doing? What are their what's just speak on that. I don't even know where to start with that, but just go ahead. You got it.
So a lot of times the girl challenges are just not coming to school. But when they're there, a lot of girls are really, really social, but they're also pack, like they live in packs. So they don't like this girl. Somebody said something about me, then they're ready to fight. We have more girl fights than anything else.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
We do, because they're just way more emotional when it comes to response. Like men, there's always a threat of violence, right? So you speak to the other man differently. You try to be logical about the situation. But girls, it's on site, and they don't really play around too much. They jump on you. So girls fight a lot. We have trouble with them, but then we have trouble with girls after freshman year, like that sophomore year. If they're not on good tracks, a lot of time girls don't come back to school, and that's when they're really doing bad. And we do the same thing we do for the girls that we do for the boys. We really reach out, but it's difficult because as a man, you can't put yourself in a position where you're helping the girls too much, right? And that's the sad part. And that's why I got a female dean that really helps in that aspect, right? Because I can't risk my career for a lie or a trauma lie.
Man,
where they feel like they're when they trust you, and then when they trust you from doing something, and then all of a sudden when they trust you to do something for them, and then all of a sudden you got to hold them accountable. Sometimes the verbiage change for the young ladies, and you can't put your career online.
You gotta have Mike. So you gotta have Mike Pence rule. The Mike Pence rule with the girls coming into your office and all that.
Well, I don't deal.
You know what the Mike Pence rule is, right?
Nuh-uh.
The Mike Pence rule. That's he don't do any private meetings with women because of fear that they might say some bull or the conversation and what happened when after the meeting is over.
I definitely do that. Normally, I just record the conversations. I got a recorder that records the whole office, and I don't. Yeah, we do that, but that's rare. I mean,
it is rare. It is. Yeah,
it's rare, but you still want to be on point, right? So, but the girls, that's what you deal with. But also, like I wanted to tell you, is mostly after sophomore years when we lose them to the street. I mean, a lot of girls go into prostitution at a very young age. And they're in the neighborhood.
You said prostitution. I thought you meant they just out wilding and just getting it in, and but no, you mean full blown selling vagina in exchange for money in a solicited type of way. Like,
yeah. So, and it's unfortunate, man. That breaks my heart. I think more than anything is because you can see it coming, and you can it's just it's a sad situation, you know what I mean? It's something that that we just can't we can't do much about, you know what I mean? And it's difficult, man. It's difficult when they don't have any resources. A boy can rob another boy, rob a man, they can steal, they can break into houses, they could do a lot of illegal things in order to eat and feed themselves, right? See, so girls don't have that capability. A lot of them don't, and if they do, then they're mostly around a man that's kind of using them to do it. And then sometimes you have a female that's just, crazy enough to carry a weapon and do stuff like that. That's pretty rare. So what they do is they go at a different route, right? They'll try to move drugs, but then physically they can't protect themselves long enough in order to sustain that type of income. So the prostitution area is kind of where they go, and it's just unfortunate, man. That really breaks my spirit.
Yeah, but you talked about it like, okay, well, I guess what I'm getting at, and this is where I could be naive, because when people talk about something like that, I always look at it like that is not as common. But you said it as if it's a common thing. Like what percentage would you say? If
No, it's a small percentage. It's probably
okay, that's
it's
okay.
but let's just say in the last 5 years, I probably lost about 20 girls to that.
Okay. Okay.
And that's 20 too many, right? Like, so for me,
Yeah.
and that's the ones I know of, right?
Yeah.
So and yeah, that one really hits me, because I think there's so many resources for women and young women, and a lot of them don't want to go through foster care, and a lot of them don't want to go through that route, just because it's structured and they're not used to structure, and they're not used to someone telling them what to do and do this, do that, and they're just not used to that. And then also you got people that's in foster care that are not supposed to be there, so they go from one extreme to the next, and I mean, it's a difficult situation, man. So it's rough, and that one right there is hard for me right there.
Yeah. That's a tough one. When you initially said it, I was thinking in larger numbers, but I mean, 20 is too many. 20 is too many. But yeah, when I interpreted you saying as if it was a more prevalent thing, but you basically the window is by, I think, what did you say, like by the 10th, once they make it to 10th to 11th grade.
10th grade, around there, 9th, 10th grade, it's really difficult after that. Because at that point, then, they kind of understanding what direction they're behind on credits. They need to go to a continuation school. They're not going to graduate our school. And, once they get to that point where they got to go to another school, most of the time, they'll never complete it. You know what I mean? And then they just hang out in the streets and they just don't go back. So it's difficult.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's why I eased into it when we're talking about the girls, because like I said, I don't have daughters. I don't know the challenges of fathers raising daughters, or even, so trying to look at it from your perspective as a principal who has no daughters dealing with girls, and it's a whole storm so that's a tough one. Let's talk about the parents. All right, we talked about the boys, talked about the girls. What's the issues? And you kind of touched on this already a little bit, but let's dig deeper into that. When it comes to the parents, what issues are you seeing there? Because like what I mentioned before, it starts there, but it sounds like what you're getting at, the parents, the issues that the kids are having, the parents probably had those same issues. So holding them accountable to be better parents is a rough thing. But one vision that I had in my head, because there are some parents that do care, but like in the thumbnail, the woman from Lean on Me, she was a concerned parent who cared, but was still problematic. So do you run into that type of thing as well?
Yeah, that's a lot of, well, yeah. I mean, first of all, let me shout out the good parents. Like I always try to start with some type of positive, but there's a lot of great parents on campus. There's a lot of great parents that help kids and help other kids. But I'm going to tell, I always like to be honest about what we got going on, right? So there's a lot of parents that choose the wrong path for their kids, and that's allowing kids not to have structure, rules, or be held accountable for anything. Um, Unfortunately, too, we got a lot of moms. Either they love us or they hate us, right? They hate male authority. Sometimes
Mm.
sometimes they hate the fact that men are running things or doing things, especially black men. Sometimes our people believe the white man's ice is colder, right? We can have the same glass of water with ice in it, but the white man's ice is colder because he's white, so everything they do is better. So they don't believe if a white man ain't walking around here running the facilities and ain't professional and we ain't doing it right, we ain't, but the results is in the data, right? So we get a lot of single mothers that either love us or hate us, and they a lot of times sometimes they don't want to support us. We're too hard on the kids. They're just enabling boys a lot of times because they can see through the girls. Oh, they know the girls. They know their daughters, but the boys, for some reason, and I always say this, is that women raise their daughters and they spoil their sons. And that is a handicap that we deal with in our community because when you got spoiled sons, they believe that accountability doesn't matter. I can do what I want. I could be with my mom until 30 years old, couch surfing. I don't need to be a responsible man. I don't need to have a spine. I'm emotional all the time. They lose these characteristics that men carry, right? So we got a lot of moms that put their kids in these situations, and it's our job to try to fix them in the small time we have them. So we have a lot of parents that enable kids to do things that you couldn't even imagine. So this is what we deal with. And then I think it's almost balanced though. I think most of our parents at our school really want what's best for their kid. I think it's probably 60-40. And I think good parents to negative parents. I think there's more great parents than there is the bad ones. I think a lot of the bad ones are heard about the most because either the kids are dying or they're allowing their kids to do foolish things and they're up at the school a lot more than the other parents. There's so many kids that have so many great talents that we never see because they're never either in trouble or they keep their head down and be responsible. And so we have to do a better job in our communities and our schools to promote those kids just as well as we do the kids coming from the bottom to the top. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. One thing that you said at the beginning when you said they raise their daughters and they spoil their sons, wouldn't it be more accurate to say that they raise their daughters actually neglecting their sons?
Yeah. Well, what I mean by spoil means they reward bad behavior. So like when we so rewarding bad behavior is not always in a form of gifts, right? It's sometimes it's in a form of affirmation. It's more of, hey, don't worry about what they saying. You did the right thing. It's kind of like you as a basketball coach. When a ref calls a foul, right? And the ref said this is a foul by the book law, this is the foul. And that kid walks to the bench and then you yell, that was not a foul. Continue to do what you want, continue to do what you do, right? That is your interpretation of what's supposed to happen, but the rules say this is what it is. You're enabling this player to believe that what the wrong thing he was doing is actually the right thing, right? So a lot of times our young men are being fed this in a way. Um, you know, to one of our number one things is how we deal with situations. For some reason, our cultures, now I know we come from warriors, but we believe that we have to fight it out. It doesn't matter any type of disrespect. They will come up to the school. We've had parents come to the school ready to fight other kids. And we had to get in the middle of all this. Go whoop her ass. Or, excuse my language. Go beat him down. Go do this. Go do that. And it's continuous. And this is mother. Most fathers, to be honest with you, good or bad, this is how they deal with it. What happened? Okay. All right. Well, you shouldn't be doing that, right? Don't do it again. All right. Yeah. Don't worry about the other kid. You got to do what you got to do. That's normal fathers up at the school. Like, this is how they get down. Every now and then you'll get a father, but you can tell he's subservient in the relationship. And he is not in a position to call any shots in a relationship. That woman is dictating the situation. So when they come to the school as a pair, his voice is mute. And he is not respected by neither the kids or the woman. So then his voice is buried, the logical voice. So then his emotional voice is then driven through the system of this kid, and then they have so many different issues and problems.
Yeah, the link is in the chat. If anybody, anybody want to come up and got specific questions that you want to ask Akeem of the Raw Truth Podcast. And I'm dropping the ball here. Because the link to his YouTube channel should be in the chat, should be floating all through the chat. So let me see. I don't know how many of you are subscribed to him, so I may need to find the link myself, drop it in the chat so y'all can so the moderators can start dropping it in the chat. Let me type that in really quick. The Raw Truth. All right.
I had a pretty good show last night too. No, the day before.
Actually, why don't you I don't know if I've given you hold on, wait, that's not you. See, I'm having a hard time pulling up your channel.
Just type in Raw Uncut and then you'll see the Raw Truth. Just scroll down, you'll see the Raw Truth. Raw Uncut Podcast, type that in, and then you'll see the Raw Truth.
Okay.
Because it's all together. It always.
Well, it's a few people that use Raw in their name. That's why when I was trying to find you initially,
you'll see my face. I'm a brother, man. I'm in there.
No, it's some other cat named Hassan who got something raw in okay, hold on. Yeah, you gonna well, you know what? I can do you one better. I can do this because you sent me the link to the channel.
Yeah, I can send you right now if you want.
Yeah, hold on. I got the link to the channel and I'm tripping right now. Yeah, stand by. We got to make sure we get the link in the chat. We about to open this thing up. People can come up and ask him questions about the challenges being a high school principal at a predominantly black school in a predominantly black neighborhood with a lot of blackness going on in there. So so we about to open it up, but let's see. Okay, got you. All I got to do is just find our correspondence with each other, and then that way I can just send the exact
I can put it in the chat too.
Yeah, but you don't. Well, yeah. When you comment in the chat, that will give you. That will. Then I can give you a wrench, and then you could drop it.
I got it right now. I'll just put it in there.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, but I'm already halfway through my process, so I could put it, and then that way they could link to it, and then moderators go ahead and there's a link to his YouTube channel. Now moderators go go subscribe to that. 2, spam us out with his link. Make sure you put his link all through the chat. Put it all through there so y'all can go and subscribe to that brother. Go and subscribe to him.
And I appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's the link right there. Moderators, go ahead and spam us out. With that. And let me figure out where you said you just posted in the chat. Let me give you a wrench too.
Yeah, I'm in there.
I'm trying to find it right there.
My boy Mick Perkins is in the chat. I see him too.
Okay.
A couple of my Twitter people.
What name is it under? In the chat.
It says the raw truth. You should see me.
Okay, I don't see. While I look for you, we'll pass the mic to Sika. What did that say? What did that? Let me hold on. Let me blow you up so I can read this. Sika. Is that an L or an I?
It's an eye.
In Sika in Yang. I think hopefully I said that right. But you got the floor. You got the mic. Go ahead and fire away. You got it.
Morning, Bernard. How's it going, Akeem?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I got a question. So my question is, well, so first of all, I just want to say, like, when you said that a lot of times kids come in, especially the boys come in with these characteristics, kind of like when they're emotional, stuff like that, and it's your job to, uh, in the way I phrased it in my mind is kind of like beat it out of them, not in a violent way, but kind of just like manage that out of them. I thought that was kind of it's interesting to know that, but it's kind of sad to hear that that you as an educator has to go above and beyond to not just educate the kid, but almost raise the child. But so my question is, in your role, or actually, I don't know if any teachers have come to you about this too. When you're facing a child who's unprepared emotionally to be in the classes that they're in, and by emotion, I don't mean that they're just acting out. I mean that they don't know they don't have the discipline to really just excel, to sit down, listen, take what they've learned, and then go home and continue their education. So my question is, how effective or how hard is it for you to deal with those individuals on a individual level when you have other students in the class who are doing the opposite?
Well, I mean, it is our job as professional adults to find what moves that child. So not all kids learn the same. And if we're teaching the same to everybody, then we're doing wrong, right? Mm-hmm. So it is our job to identify what moves this kid and how can we create a curriculum in order to educate this kid and to make this student want to come to class, right? Like that is our end game. That's our big hope. And like you said, there's a lot of kids that are just not able to do it because they're so behind from years and years of being neglected at home and at other schools that when they get to us, they're in a position where they're in a grade above what their actual, they're not able to compete on the level of a regular 10th grade. Let's say they're in 10th grade, but they have a 6th grade reading ability, reading skill level, right? Mm-hmm. So it is our job to put them in position either through special education or special curriculum in order to catch them up or give them special accommodations through an IEP or something like that for them to be assessed in ways that we can give them resources in order to help them through. Now, classroom management is all about the teacher. It's really not about the student. I've seen some kids that are typically really, really hard, meaning they get suspended a lot, they fight a lot, they cuss teachers out. Be in a situation with a great teacher, and you'll find that they're never in trouble in that class, right? Because a lot of that is strategy, and a lot of that is that and it's not for some reason, but for reasons that a lot of people don't understand is that Black kids, if they're taught by Black teachers, if they're taught by Latino teachers, if they're taught by Asian teachers, minorities, the ones who don't look like the police or the president of the United States, most of the time, those kids are really open into communicating and trying to work with those teachers. You get what I'm saying? We even got an Indian guy. His name is Mr. Khan. He's a great dude. And he struggled his first year and he wanted to quit. And I told him, they need you here, right? And he just he just dove in. And what I mean by dove in, meaning he listened to so many people that's been around for years that has dealt with our kids. And now he's flourishing. The kids love him. The numbers are really high from his class. He's starting to get he's starting to get what we've always knew he could. But it's sad, but we have a lot of teachers who turn over because they come in a situation with a save kid mentality instead of teach kid mentality, and they come in without enough strength in order to manage their class, and they lose the class. And unfortunately, that's where we're at in the educational field, where you got to have teachers who come in who indulge himself with teaching kids instead of trying to save the kids or enable the kids. You get what I'm saying?
Break down that last part for me.
The enabling,
the teaching versus the yeah.
So
that sounds interesting. I want to grasp it.
So teaching a kid is knowing in your mind that this kid can excel no matter what school he goes to. Saving the kid is feeling like this is the only place that would accept this kid, and I have to really listen and take all of his needs and concerns in before what we understand as his need in order to be successful in life. So his mother neglects him so much that he wants to be, he wants to listen to music during first period in his headphones because it calms him down and it settles him. And then next period, he kind of needs some time in the morning, a little break. You get what I'm saying? So we're not helping the kid with all these special accommodations. We know as teaching you as an equal, when you get in the job force, they don't look at all that other stuff. We're teaching you how to take care of yourself. Now, if you've been assessed in IEP and you have special needs, now that's something different, right? Like then we're gonna go to some psychologists and we'll have people come pull you into class. But if you're going to be a student in the class and you're going to do what everybody else is doing, then we need for you to understand these are the rules, these are the guidelines, but curriculum is geared towards the teachers to the student. So my job is to make sure that your interest level is because I'm teaching you this way. You get what I'm saying? Like we put music in it, right? Like a record label. This is what they get. This is what they do. This is how it's ran. This is, and then they relate it to businesses, CEO companies. This is their structure. This is how you get what I'm saying? So now you're relating something with a kid already sees as being as a success, that we use that to make sure they understand that, oh yeah, this is successful because of these standards and these rules. Nothing changes. It's just the look. You get what I'm saying?
Well, so let me hold on. Let me ask this question because you brought up something that I did want to mention. You said you brought up IEP. That's for those that don't know, that's individualized education program, which is another name for what we all grew up knew as special ed, special education. That's correct, right? Just to make sure. Okay. Yep. So when you talk about special ed in that school, what percentage of the children, particularly what you could say, well, particularly the boys that I'm really concerned about. What percentage of the boys are in special ed? What percentage of the girls? And what percentage overall are in actual special ed?
It's only about a 22%. It's not very high, but a lot of times it should be more, only because they haven't been assessed, right? And that's all up to the parent. When we ask the parent, can we assess your child for special ed, because their reading level right now, reading is such a big part of everything, right? If you can read and comprehend, you can learn anything. But if you can't read and comprehend what you're reading, then it is very difficult for you to learn anything. And I don't care what it is, right? So it's our job as a school, as an administrator, but the teachers, to assess that when we have benchmarks when they first get into the class. We can tell by the benchmark, have you been doing X, Y, and Z? We got a thing called exit ticket, right, in class. Exit tickets are every day we have dialogue and curriculum that we're presenting to the kids, right? So at the end of the class, 10 minutes before the class, we have a small quiz, and we're testing you on what we taught you throughout the day. So if you're failing your exit tickets, that tells us the comprehension is not there for the student, or you're just not paying attention, right?
Mhm.
So it is our job as teachers and administrators to reach out to parents, to set up meetings, to then do assessments on kids on X, Y, and Z. Can he read? Is he just falling asleep? Is he too tired? I mean, there's so many different aspects, but a lot of it has to do with work avoidance, where kids have been avoiding work for so long. They come in, they'll look like they're engaged, but they're not engaged, or they don't know what's going on, or sometimes the teacher is not showing them right.
Mm-hmm.
It is my job to walk in and do classroom observations. I'm not there to see the kids. I'm there to see how the teacher is presenting this to the students, the scholars, right? So there's a lot to go into that. But it should be a lot more. We should be reaching about around 35%. But right now, I think we've been as low as 17% on campus for special education.
No, that's interesting, because some people would hear around 20% in special ed, and they would think that that's pretty damn high. But I think people don't understand exactly how it works. We view special ed as the dumb kids, some little bitty room with 8 students in the class, and one of them got a helmet on. That's how. So explain exactly what special education, or IEP, individualized educational plan, I believe that's what it's called. Explain what that has evolved to and how that's different, because I do know a little bit. I know a little bit about that, but you can probably speak more.
So you mean how it evolved, or how?
Okay, well, this is my understanding of it. If somebody just has a problem with math, they don't go and sit in a special ed classroom just over the math. It's just only when it comes to math they have they get extra help when it comes to math. Like they get more time on their test, or something like that. Like explain
accommodations.
Yeah.
So we're in an all-inclusive school, all inclusion. And a lot of it is all inclusion is that we don't believe in separating the kids into into an area of the school for them to learn, right? We don't believe that we need a special ed unit. So what we do is we bring a lot of the special ed teachers inside of the classroom with the kids, right? So they can still be around their peers that's learning. They may learn different and they may be behind, but we have someone there to help them learn, right? So that's an accommodation right there. That's when you have an IEP or a 504 plan. But an IEP is more of special needs for that kid in different areas of their curriculum or education. And even it could be therapy. It can be it could be, counseling there. It could be therapy. It could be counseling. It could be breaks. It could be emotional support. It could be a lot of different things, and it is our job to make sure those needs are met. I mean, we have laws that we're bounded by, so we have to follow those rules and regulations. And some kids are just so far behind. Like a lot of parents don't know that a special needs kid, not special needs, but a kid who has special needs and that has an IEP, they can be in high school into 24 years old. But we really don't see that because a lot of kids are too embarrassed or whatever, and they go on to find their education somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, a kid can be on campus at 20-some years old, and have the same accommodations as everybody else.
All right. Snuggles 668 back in the building with a super chat. Appreciate all your support, Snuggles, even though I hate that name. You need to change it. To the principal, your thoughts on the comprehension level on when questions are being asked on panels on YouTube. What is the level you notice? Do you understand that question?
I don't. I'm sorry.
To the principal, your thoughts on the comprehension level on when questions are being asked on panels on.
Oh, okay. So So what maybe they're asking, how do I feel about the
Oh,
certain level of questions that I'm being asked from outside sources? I mean, from
I
people
think.
viewing.
Wait, I think he means when YouTube discussions are being had. Um, I don't know if he's talking about the overall comprehension level of people on YouTube having these conversations. He's asking you to critique their comprehension level. I don't know. You got to make that a little more clear. Snuggles, so we can get a feeling for what you mean. Because that question, we're not comprehending your question. So something is wrong with the comprehension level in this conversation because we're not comprehending that question. And there's that. Yeah. So thanks for the super chat, Snuggles. Restate your question in the chat, and hopefully I'll comprehend it a little better. Yeah, you don't got to super chat it when you restate it, but just retype it. I'll keep my eyes open for it. And that's that. We got Coach Ali in the building, and we got the Village Arsonist. So I am interested to see what he's going to come up here and say because he was talking a little trash in the chat. Not I won't say trash. But he was saying some rough and tough things. So this should get interesting. But we're gonna go to my man Coach Ali first before we go to the Village Arsonist. Let's go.
Morning, gentlemen. What's going on?
What is going on?
What's going on, brother?
So I won't be on very long. I have a meeting in about 30 minutes, but I heard you saying also a lot of brothers would agree that we need to have more brothers in the educational field. And I know for a lot of brothers that can be very difficult, whether you're a teacher or an administrator. One of my college teammates, he recently just quit here in Detroit. He was working for a program to kind of help kids transition, from high school to college, and he had to drop out because of all the politics that go on in the office. And so, how would you recommend recruiting more brothers to get into the field of education, and making it I would say a priority, but just kind of incentivizing, brothers to get in, become administrators, become teachers, become principals, and get more of that masculine presence in our schools to kind of help our boys out mainly.
Well, I'll tell you, I think we need to do a better job in communities to advocate for our kids becoming teachers. I mean, to be honest with you, people think teachers don't get paid. We got teachers on campus getting $85,000 a year, easy. You know what I mean? And they're getting paid extremely well. And I think it comes to a point where it's not a desirable job. And I think us as a community need to promote not just going to college, but teaching at colleges, teaching at elementaries, and I always tell kids, like, if you need any help, like, I'm here to help. I'm gonna be your resource. But that's easy to say, right? We can say, but I think the biggest thing of it is start by getting some type of degree. And in schools, as long as you have a degree, you can become an administrator. After you get a degree, you can go get an administrative degree that takes you about 2 years and doesn't cost you a lot, right? They got accelerated programs. And if you, as a black man or a black woman, trust and believe, if your last name is Jenkins, if your last name is Johnson, hey, brother, we go and look for those names. And what I'm telling you is everybody in the school district is doing the same thing. We want black teachers and black students, but the makeup is only 4% of black males in all of education. 4%. There's 7% black women. So that is extremely low for, as a whole. We all know that.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is because people believe we're not making money. This is not a desirable job. This job, like kids, parents, parents that say, oh, don't get mad because you ain't up here making no money. I mean, it's so hilarious to me. They don't understand and know that I'm financially I'm in a good position. But we as a community don't promote this as being a good, valid. We always talk about doctors, lawyers, scientists. We go to the, and that's great, and those are great positions, and we need more of them too. But we never talk about education, brother, and it's sad. The politics of it is, you're right. They have a lot of hierarchy in schools where, and especially the union. So luckily, I'm in a charter school where there's no union, right? So unions are ran by others, and it's like it's a hierarchy thing in there where they make more money off of kids not doing well than they do, because the resources come in more. They get more financial support from outside resources that want to help save the kids, right? So they have more resources, but they distribute those to areas of not need, like the communities that don't need the money. Like, there's no way. And let me just give you a quick example. I know I'm long-winded, but let me give you a quick example of what I mean, right? So in our area, in our whole district, every school around us got multiple millions of dollars to upgrade their school. We receive $600,000, and all we can do is, of course, it's not too many upgrades we can do with $600,000 to a school. So we had to do the concrete, which was cracked and tore up, and it just wasn't okay. But the schools around us are getting multiple millions of dollars, and the reason for that is they use the tax, the housing taxes in the community and all that. So what can change the course of schools is it do like NBA does. NBA does, it's called revenue sharing, where this market makes a lot of money, but we're going to share it and make sure we can do some promotion in other areas. We need to revenue share for all schools. It doesn't matter rich or poor, what areas, so all of our kids can have the same resources as everyone else. And that starts with Black men and being leaders in the communities and fighting for these legislational laws to be passed in order for this stuff to happen, in order for put people like myself in position to hire Black people, because I hire them all day long. I go out my way. And as long as you got the qualification and the background for it, man, come holler at me, because that is what our kids need in order to be successful. And then we have to have those kids wanting to go to school to be in education.
Right on. We're going to pass the mic to the village arsonist in that comment on the screen. Shout out to you. He says, I am a school teacher, so I'm loving this discussion. Feel free to join the panel. But the village arsonist in the building, go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Thank you, brother Riley. Thank you for having me on. I came to the stream a little late. I'm on CPT time as well, so excuse me, brother. But if someone has already covered this question, I do apologize. But for this point rather. But basically, the brother. Thank you to the brother for coming in to give us this valuable information. But the brother mentioned we're talking about more money. We're talking about more Black male teachers. We're talking about this and that. But the elephant in the room that I'm seeing is, for one, over 70% of our kids being raised in these single parent homes. Two, that 16 hours of dysfunction. I don't care how much, from where I'm standing, and again, I'm not a professional, but from where I'm standing logically, in that 8 hours that the teacher has, there's only so much they can do. There's only so much money you can throw at the problem. There's only so many textbooks you can upgrade. Only so many Black male teachers you can have in the school. At the end of the day, you still have that 16 hours of dysfunction to contend with. When they get out of that school, they're going back to that 16 hours of dysfunction. And I think that needs to be, that has to be fixed before anything else. In my opinion, if you're sending that child right back to a home that does not value education, they're sitting in front of video games and TV all day. The single mom is not reading to the child. The father's nowhere around. That 8 hours, again, I'm seeing that as the biggest problem. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think that has a lot to do with why we can't get more Black men in particular to be teachers? Do you think it's because we see it as a glorified babysitter position, basically. We see it as, there's really not much we can do for these kids because at the end of the day, again, they're going back to that 16 hours of dysfunction. Thank you, brother.
Man, I think you hit on some great points, man, and you're absolutely right in so many different ways. I mean, we understand we're at a disadvantage. We understand that the disadvantage is going into that toxic environment where they have to deal with certain issues. But I will say that we become so much more influential. Like we're the influence in their life. We become people that they come to for anything instead of going home. Most dysfunction kids don't want to be home, so they don't go home. They hang out, they go to school events, they hang out at their friend's house, they hang around the neighborhood, and that's where it becomes the problem because they got idle time, right? There's not a lot of kids that just stay home and play video games in the hood because one, they don't have internet. For two, their friends are away, right? So I will definitely agree with you when it comes to the dysfunction, but let me tell you how we can change it, right? So as me being a black male, they're not used to seeing that, right? They're not used to seeing a black man walking around. I'm a professional guy, and what's up, brother? What's going on? How you doing today? Oh, is everything all right? This is how I'm talking to the kids, right? And I'm bringing the energy that they are not used to. So I have more parents calling me or calling one of the other deans saying, can you talk to our kids? They're doing X, Y, and Z. Or can you come out and visit and do X, Y, and Z? So we try to create mentor programs in the neighborhood where there's a lot of good, strong black men that come in from all walks of life that just want to come help the kids. I agree with you. That dysfunction is so hard, but kids see better when you model it and they can see and you give them education. A lot of times they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I always tell the kids, be better than your parents. I want my kids to be better than me. This is what we preach on a daily basis, right? Be better than your parents. Do better than your parents. I don't care if your parents are a doctor. Own a practitioner where, doctors come and work. Like, be better, right? And I don't think they get enough of that. And I think if I had the mentality and I was going into this work every day of thinking I'm defeated before I get there, I wouldn't have the energy to balance this thing out for the kids. So I definitely agree with you. And I know exactly what you meant. I live off that hope, prayer, and action. Hope, prayer, and action. Hope, prayer, and action. That's kind of what we live off of. And the hope part of it is that I hope my message is getting to you. The prayers, I'm praying that when you're away from me, that some of the values that I'm instilling in you is going to work. And then the action is the action that I'm going to follow through with. What I'm telling you is going to work enough in your life in order for you to take this and go run with it. You get what I'm saying? I hired so many kids back that was my ex-students. I got a campus monitor right now on campus that I coached 10 years ago at the school. He's now a campus monitor helping other kids. So we just got to build communities inside the communities that black men, a lot of us get some paper, we run up out of there and we don't come back, man. And they need us, man. And we can't have the mentality of we're raising other people's kids. A lot of men don't want to do that. But I've taken on some of that, man. I'm only one of many that's in a position in order to make some moves.
Well, let me I gotta ask this question because Charles Merchant just asked a question that prompted me to remember a question that I wanted to ask. So I'm going to get to his question real soon. But the question that I want to ask with this whole lockdown thing, I remember you said something that sort of would spark this conversation. Village Arson has come back. If you got a follow up question, we're gonna get back to that. So come back if you can. Village Arson is. I remember you said that y'all were having problems just getting kids to log in. Like, what percentage of kids are not even logging into the computer for the whole online learning aspect of it?
Yeah, it's about 70%. So we
Only 70 were logging in or not logging in.
So was not logging in. So that was quite a bit, but a lot of that had to do with resources, right? Internet stuff. So it increased once we got the help from Verizon. You know, shout out to Verizon. They gave out free hotspots to all the kids who needed some internet in their home. And you know, we delivered it, and we've definitely increased that that number. So now we're at 30%. So a lot of it had to do with just straight internet, and you know, pretty much Verizon stepped up and you know, provided some internet, some hotspots for these kids, man, and you know, to help. A lot of it is just they can't log in on internet. They ain't got no internet now. What they gonna do? You know what I mean? I mean, but you know, they got cell phones. A lot of them got cell phones, and a lot of them are controlled off of Wi-Fi. You know, a lot of them just use it just to have. But yeah, man, it was 70%, man, and I'll tell you, brother, you know, we're getting better. We're trying to get better. We're trying to give resources into the kids, and just trying to communicate with organizations that want to help out. So, and that's what we do.
Wow. And you said that y'all started back doing actually actual in-person schooling. Part of the problem because it was hard to get people logged in, but it was easier to get them to physically come to the school. Is that accurate?
Correct. So we're actually a school that's open right now. We're in California, so you got to imagine California is probably suffering from COVID, one of the worst states right now in the country, right? So we're sieging, we're surging, and but we knew that if we didn't open this school for our neighborhood kids, we would have problems. So we went on a hybrid model, and those parents wanted kids back. We go 3 days a week, 3 on, 2 off. And then we just have smaller classrooms, and we work. We work on a daily basis, man. We got in person, and then the ones who's home, we record. We record on. We So what we do is in person for a period, and then that teacher goes live stream to the ones who's home. So we do the best we can, man, and there's a lot of kids walking around campus saying, I couldn't be home anymore. I'm so happy to be here. And they're there every day, you know, and we deal with the good and the bad that comes from that. But I'm just happy to be open. We're the only school in the district that's open, man, other than private schools.
All right. Charles Merchant in the building with a super chat. Shout out to him. He says, how was this new lockdown culture change the value of a public school principal? Is there a cost saving measure to phase administrators out? I suppose that's a good question. So let's throw that to Akeem. Let's go. You got it.
It's kind of hard for me to answer that because I don't see too many obstacles in the way right now. Can you put that question back up though?
Yeah, I gotta dig it up. Hold on. Yeah. There you go.
Is there a cost for a measure to phase out administrators? No, I don't think there is. I don't think they're phasing administrators out. I don't think they're. I think there's a lack of. There's not a lot of people that want to do what we do because we have to deal with some of the most difficult situations at every day at your job. You got to be kind of built different. But there's definitely a lockout culture, meaning there's not a lot of brothers with opportunities like I've had. I've been pretty fortunate, but there's definitely a lockout culture from us in schools because they want us there, but you have to know that we changed the culture. We are now desired, and when we're inside of schools, then they want to just be around us. They just want to be taught by us, and you know, of course, they can't have that. You know what I mean? Like we become the culture. These kids are raised off of, you know, a certain way of living and doing things and music, and we can adapt to all that. Like when you got an English teacher that has been in other communities all of her life, she has to not only learn how to deal with kids that are difficult, but she has to learn the culture in order to adapt and change her curriculum to teach the kids. So I don't know, man. I don't really see a lockdown culture too much, and I don't really see them pushing out and phasing out administrators. So I don't see that in my world. I've been doing this for some years, man. I just don't really see it, man. They're so thirsty for us, man. And I don't know how it is outside the country, but I know in California, if you're an educator, man, they gonna pay you what you want, man. They gonna find a way to get you into school, man.
Right on, right on. Hood Conservative, we mentioned COVID, and he came out the woodwork suffering. How come homeless are so immune to COVID? Is homeless the cure for COVID? How do you know that homeless people are not getting it? How would you know that? That's what I'm curious of. Curious question there. Village Arsonist, did you have a follow-up question? I mean, yeah, because I know you asked your first question and I jumped in because you said something. I don't know if you had something you wanted to follow up on, and we can swing it back to Coach Ali if he's still available. I think he said he had a meeting, but go ahead,
Yeah,
Bill.
yes, sir. Thank you. One more question, real quick, just right off the bat. Hood Conservative is not a real black conservative. He is a fake ass
Whoa,
black.
whoa! We don't do that here. We don't do that here.
Okay. Well, having said that, I didn't get a chance to call in on that one. So having said that, does the brother have any advice on how black people can get more involved on the local level as far as these school boards is concerned? How can black people make more of an impact as far as, having more of a say in, what principals are being hired and whatnot? I mean, because I think one of the biggest problems with black people politically is that we focus too much on a national level. Meanwhile, we don't know who the hell the police chief is, who the sheriff is, who the district attorney is. So, I mean, what advice would you give for black people as far as being able to make a difference on a local level politically? Like, what races should we be focused on? Things like that.
So I think board meetings are probably the biggest things you should focus on. The local board meeting for your school district. School districts are ran by the community, whether we believe it or not. So if us black people came in and said, hey, my child goes to X school, and at this X school, there is no black teachers at the school, but yet you have 40% black students or 30% black students. Why is it that you're not hiring blacks? We need some type of understanding on why this is not going on. That is pressure. And when I tell you, just that voice in those meetings, they loom large, because what happens is that there are so many people that give schools money, give districts money, that count on them being diverse, count on them to hire more minorities in school. And if you're not doing or meeting that, you lose money. And one thing the school board does not want, they don't want to be labeled as racist, or they don't care about the black students or the Latino, the black and browns. They don't want that. So if you go to your local school district and really, like, they meet once a month, and there's 2 or 3 parents there out of the whole district normally. And they're normally those who care about their neighborhood kids leaving trash around their house and what can we do about it. They normally come there to complain about the kids, but never about the schools. We put too much trust in the schools, I think. I think we put too much trust in the teachers teaching our kids, instead of going down there and demanding the best, demanding diverse, demanding diversity of hiring. Principals are hired through boards. Boards are the ones who hire principals. Those are the people who hire principals for schools. So if the board is there and you are advocating for diverse, you're going to have to explain why wasn't they hired. You're going to have to explain why situations have not changed in the school for years or in the school district. This stuff matters, man.
Right on. Coach Ali, well, we're going to get to this question that's on, because that's a good one, even though I prefer you super chat your questions, but I stumbled across that one, so I had to ask this one because that's something that get talked about a lot in this black YouTube sector, about black kids, particularly black boys, being misdiagnosed with IEP. That's special education for those that don't know. Individualized educational plan or program. I think individualized educational plan. That's what IEP stands for, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, they're rather and or ADHD after being misdiagnosed for that. But before we deal with that question right there on the table, Coach Ali, are you still available? Do you got another question?
I'm still here. Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, you got it.
So I'll just give a final statement, then I'll hop off. Brother, I commend your work and everything that you're doing. In response to the gentleman that was just up here, when he referenced, our students going back to 16 hours of dysfunction, we as men, we know what we're up against. We understand what the community is, what's his genetic makeup, and who's causing what issues. But the reason why we need more brothers like this in our educational system is because even though you have 16 hours of buffoonery to uncover every single day, does not mean that certain kids aren't listening. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I have both parents I grew up with both parents in my house, and my parents still put me in front of mentors. Mm-hmm. They put me in front of well-to-do, Black men, teachers, principals, lawyers, people who ran their own businesses. And so sometimes it takes, a masculine presence to break something down logically for a brother to say, that's not what my mom says, but this makes more sense. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just need the people to put the seeds, subconsciously, and plant those seeds in their minds, and they'll eventually, grow out of, their dysfunction, or they will understand that they can get better. But just to throw out the dysfunction as a problem, we understand that and we know that. Mm-hmm. And so with saying all that, I'll just say this is that no matter what opposition we have, if the community is not, we say we want better communities. If you want them, you got to put the brothers in there, because if not, then we're going to keep having the same issues, and we're going to go round and round, on the chopping block talking about it. When we can, put our men in there and enforce some action and produce some well-to-do, suitable men that can help change this thing around. And I'll leave it at that. Man,
I appreciate that. And to piggyback off of that, of what you said, because you said it perfectly. One of the things I had mom and dad too. So, but I went to college because we was impoverished. My mom and dad weren't together, but I seen my dad, and he was active, and that mattered, right? But what happened is when I went to college, I stopped being around all the people that didn't believe, and then I was around thousands of people that believed in themselves and had goals, right? So then I viewed things out of a different lens than what I was accustomed to. When I say impoverished minds, that's meaning no self-respect. No, you only see what's in front of you, right? You everything you do in life is created by fast money or right here, and the way of thinking is not to bridge into anything great, right? So like we have to give our kids options. If they feel like they don't have options, then they're going to rely on the community's resources, drug dealing, prostitution, robbing, stealing. They're going to rely on that instead of relying on their main thing they can do, which is, how can I get out of this situation? This is my resources. This is how I can do it, right? We got to give them hope. If we don't give them hope, then nothing would change for us in the community. So I commend you, brother. You said that perfectly.
Right on. Good stuff. Good stuff. Appreciate you, Coach Ali, coming through the building. Appreciate you. TD Hutch, he says, how many Black kids are misdiagnosed with IEP or ADHD? And while you get ready to answer that one, especially shout out to Dwayne 2827. Dwayne 2827. Appreciate you for coming through with that super chat. So go ahead and answer that question that was put on the table.
So I don't have a percentage, but I think there are way too many that are definitely misdiagnosed with ADHD and just with IEPs in general, especially outside the school district. There are ways to know if a child, there are ways to know if a child needs that or not. Sometimes parents that don't want to put in the work with their kids go quickly to medication, right? So my child, my oldest, he's 18 today, and he has ADHD. I never put him on medication, right? I never use that as a reason for him not to do what he's supposed to do. Okay, I probably had ADHD when I was a kid, right? Like it happens. What it is as a parent is putting a structure in place for a kid that may struggle with attention problems to get them in a routine of doing things. And you see great success from those parents. You see great success. I don't, it's something about giving kids methamphetamines in order to stay calm in the classroom. Because believe it or not, a lot of parents don't know, but those are made out of methamphetamines. Those ADHD, the Adderall and all that is, I do not like those for our kids at all.
Yeah, right on. I did an interview with Counselor Murray, and somebody in the chat said, shout out to Trent McNamara. Hopefully I said your name right. He said kids with masculine fathers don't have these issues. I don't think it's that simple. When I did a one-on-one with Counselor Murray, I asked him very specific questions about ADHD. He's the type of he goes into homes with his practice, and he's dealing with them, and he's saying that yes, there are a lot of misdiagnoses of ADHD, but those that actually got it, that they got it, and it's an actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the kid that just needs some stern parenting, and just in like sort of like what Akeem just spoke to. He needs to just be put on a regimen and be made to do it. Sort of like like the military. Like somebody could be lazy and don't plan out stuff right, or forget stuff, or do this. But if that person gets pushed into the military and there's a set schedule that he has to abide by, then he's automatically going to have to do it. That doesn't mean that ADHD isn't a thing. And it goes back to what Counselor Murray said. No, those that got it, they actually got it, and you could see it. And there's a difference between those that just need a kick in the pants. So I don't want to minimize it to it's not a real thing. They just need a kick in the pants. Like no, it's a real thing, coupled with the other problems that a kick in the pants can fix. I'll best explain it that way.
You're right.
Yeah. Sika Inyang back in the building with the question. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Yeah. So my question, well, first of all, what you said is it's crazy that you say that. So earlier you essentially said that kids can't become what they don't see. That when you went into a different environment with you around different people who had different sets of goals, your mood, your demeanor changed, and you started pursuing a different. Well, it didn't sound like you said you started pursuing a different path, but it just sounded like you said you started going in the right path more consistently. That's how I interpreted it in my mind. And so it's crazy that you say that, because I don't teach kids, but I mentor kids. And that's something that I try to emphasize with them, that you can't become what you haven't seen. From my personal experience, when I was when I was growing up, we were poor, but I didn't know it, but when I reached high school age, we ended up moving to a predominantly white neighborhood. Went to a predominantly white school. Most of my friends were still Black, but I noticed that when I was essentially in the hood, all of my friends encouraged acting up in school. That's just kind of what we did. There was nothing wrong with them. Everybody was pretty cool and everybody was pretty intelligent. I got all A's, but my teachers hated it because they didn't know what to do with me because I was still acting up. But with that being said, when I was in the hood, my friends didn't require anything of me as far as getting good grades. I got them, but if I didn't, it was cool. When I went to the predominantly white school, my Black friends, I remember for the first time, I got a GPA on my paperwork. I never knew what that was. But when I got it, I was showing my friends this, and I was laughing like, look how dumb I am. And they were like, bro, you can't be hanging around with us with no 2.0. And it was the first time I ever heard that in my life. And after that, I was like, okay, let me get a 3.0. And that's literally what I did, And so my point is I'm happy to hear what you said because a lot of times it's not just the parents, it's not just the teachers, it's also who the kids are hanging around. And I think that parents need to not be afraid of either telling your kid, don't hang around this person, or at the very least going to the other kid's parents and saying, hey, your child is affecting my child. Can your child come over here so that we can encourage them to grow? And if not, we're probably just going to have to separate the two. But to my question, in the school system, from what I can tell, I got nieces and nephews, and it's, again, I mentor kids. It seems like detention and disciplinary actions are becoming less and less encouraged by teachers. I don't know if that's your experience in your school or other educators' experience, but I guess my question is, how much of an emphasis do you put on just separating the kids so that they can kind of get a chance to recognize that, hey, it's better to be inside the classroom to be outside the classroom. That's where all my friends are at. How much of emphasis do you put on that? And do you see any type of change when you do, discipline the kid in that way?
So yeah, we're bound by numbers, and I think you said it. Your question was really about the discipline aspect of it, and yeah, I mean we are. But before I came in charge, it was our suspension rate was at 27%. Like, it was extremely high. They suspended right and left. Now I believe in suspension, right? I believe in suspension for certain instance, right? But I also believe in alternate punishments, right? I'm a father. I don't believe in going beside my son's head for everything, right? But I also know I can make his life miserable if I do certain things. So since I've been there, we went down to 14, 12, and then now we're at single digits. Last year, before the pandemic, we was at single digits like of suspension rate, and that was one of the lowest in the whole Northern California. So I implemented a thing called Saturday school, right? And so people say, "Oh yeah, I used to have Saturday." So we have Saturday school at 6 a.m. in the morning, right? And so I know that suspension going home is a vacation for a lot of kids, especially in miserable situations. So instead of me doing that to you, what I'm going to do to you is I'm going to get you up early and I'm going to get you here. And if I got to come pick you up, I will. But I'm going to, and you're going to clean this neighborhood up at 6 a.m. in the morning, cold, windy, rainy. I don't care what it is. We're going to be outside and we're going to clean up this neighborhood. And then we're going to have a writing assignment on how to better ourselves. How do we feel about ourselves? What are we going to do to change? These things have seemed to work. Like they would rather be suspended than have a thing called Saturday school. And then we got preschool, where we have you come before school and you will be worked out the same way. We got lunchtime detention. We call it social suspension, where we just take away all the activity. No dances, no, you can't eat with your friends at lunch. You'll be in his room. You can't go to school events like rallies and all that. I mean, these kids value these things, right? So we just gotten so tight where these things work, man. And we really suspend you now for, physical altercations or, a major drug situation. But I'm not going to suspend you for being high, right? Like that doesn't help you. Let's get you home for the day. You'll come back and we're going to put something on you. You'll have some detentions or something. And you got to do this work. But a lot of schools suspend for things that you'll be surprised, and it just doesn't work. But nobody challenges them on suspension. Nobody cares about kids being suspended, and we just use alternate ways of work, man. I don't know, man. It's just I believe in suspension, but I also believe in us being smart about alternate punishments. That's all.
Right
That
on.
makes sense. I have one more question for you, and I'm be out. So kind of going back to well, kind of going back to, well, I'm not sure if you actually talked about this because I came in late. What is your take on school vouchers? Um, I guess my question is it would it be better to kind of treat the school system like the market, kind of giving parents a check and just saying, hey, you can take this check to any school, um, as opposed to putting them for public school, as far as public schools are concerned, as opposed to putting them into into the school that's in their district. Do you think it would be better just to give parents the opportunity to either take their check to a public school or take their check plus a little bit extra to a charter school? Do you think that that would improve the community?
So I'm in a charter school, so I believe in charter schools. But I will say, in California, it's not a voucher. It's like we do everything based on area, right? So our charter school, though, you can come to us from any area, and it doesn't matter where you're at, and you can come from whatever you're at to come to our school. It's open enrollment, right? But I do believe in community pride and community to the school. So I believe in revenue sharing, and I continue to say this. It's a real easy fix on schools that are in areas that impoverished areas that are looking real bad and they don't have resources. Well, if we're sharing resources from all the great schools and you're putting it into area schools, every school would have the same type of resources. It can happen. They just don't want to do it. They want those parents who make an extreme amount of money to have their kids have a better education so their kids have a better chance in life of being successful. That's kind of that hierarchy thing, right? But if we want all kids to be educated, no kid left behind, all that, if you want all these kids to be educated with great resources, you will put in effect revenue sharing for all schools, tax property and all that shouldn't pay that shouldn't be a measure of how your school is successful in the area. So I'm with you, brother, but I'm at a charter school, so I believe that parents should have a choice. And I believe parents should bring their kids to wherever they feel like they want their kids to be educated. I think I think they need a choice, and I think the I believe that the union doesn't want that because successful charter schools make public schools look bad, and those teachers are sitting on their butts watching television with the kids in the classrooms, and they're not judged by numbers like we are. So they can have a terrible success rate on educating kids, and it doesn't matter because they're going to continue to have their job because the union protects them. But at a charter school, if you don't have good numbers after a sold amount of time, we can't use you anymore. You're not bettering our kids. So why wouldn't you want to have the teachers judged just like the kids are judged when it comes to grades? I never understood that. So
Well, I understand what you're saying about the charter schools. It's like you were saying in a way it's performance based. Like you have to perform, otherwise the school won't be there.
exactly.
Okay, but when you talk about revenue sharing, then you know a lot of people are going to look at that. They're going to say, okay, you're talking about socialism, and
I'm
these
not.
other.
I don't believe in that, but education I do.
Well, I'm not thinking socialism with the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking socialism, but it sound okay. So it sounds like what you're saying is instead of, well, not instead of, but for revenue sharing, you would rather, if there's a pie, you would rather that the pie be split equally, regardless of performance, and just given out equally, so that if a person wants to go, well, ultimately, so that each school gets what they need to thrive and help the kids. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, because right now we get money based upon outside funding as a charter, but we also get funding federal funding that's based on the community and how the property taxes are paid. So we got low value homes in the area. This is what we get paid to teach their kids. So if you go into a very well off neighborhood, they get more federal funding because of the taxes that's being paid in the community. So all I'm saying is when it comes to our kids, and the meaning all these kids is under 18 need to be educated, right? If we want a fair race, then we need to have where just because you make more than me don't mean your kids need to learn better than mine. And I think that is where I have a problem with we have not fixed that problem. That's the problem I'm talking about.
Well, this sort of bleeds over into school choice, and Republicans were in favor of school. I think that's how Republicans figure the best to solve the problem: school choice, and then the kids, the parents who want their kids to get that better education can take their kid to that school that has more funding. Like Democrats, for whatever reason, were against that because I think they want the numbers and they want to get as much money as possible for their underfunded school. So I think that's where that debate is really at, and it's
the Democrats are funded heavily by unions. That's why I'm little it's hard for me to. I understand the concept in an ideal world, but given the world that we live in, the country that we live in, it sounds like it can't work because unions will almost always exist because they have the funding to put the people in power that's going to allow them to continue to exist.
Unions are ran by those who benefit at the top, right? So we have to understand, I don't know why anybody, especially our kids are failing, right? There shouldn't be, and this is only my opinion, but I don't believe there shouldn't be any black person who supports a union where they don't care about the results coming from schools. They don't care. Like they don't have, oh, this teacher has been teaching 5th grade math for 12 to 15 years. She has never met the state guidelines to our kids being successful. Never. She's never fired. She gets a percentage of a raise every year. She sits there and teaches our kids continuously without any type of accountability. This is unheard of. And this is where there's a huge push to close charter schools because charter schools expose the truth. Now, all charter schools are not great. So let me just not sit here and let you know that all charter schools, I'm not, but there are so many with so many creative alternatives for students that need to be implemented into the school district. They don't want no part of that because what you're saying now is now I got to hold teachers accountable. The principals now got to hold teachers accountable for not teaching kids. We always talk about bad police officers, right? Oh, there's bad police officers. We march in the street for bad police officers. We march down the street for bad presidents, bad legislation, bad laws. Why don't we as black people march down the street for bad educations in our community, bad teaching, bad unions that do not hold teachers accountable for not teaching our kids in the classroom? I don't understand that. And I'm not a party guy, Democrat, Republican. I'm not that. I am a guy who's in the lane of education. This is messed up. We need to fix it. And the only way I feel like we need to fix it, it starts with money. And if I had the same money as those people did in the rich community, our kids would have more resources to be educated, more funding to be educated, more art programs, more band, more creative things. You know, black people are creative. for we can fund these things so our kids will have more avenues out. I want everybody to think about that. If we had more options to change our status, you have a better chance of being successful. So why don't you think they want to change the status? They don't want to change the status. They want us to be just like this. And they want to control our narrative. They want to control what our kids are learning every day. Christopher Columbus is still being taught in 3rd and 4th grade. Why? We all know that's false. We all understand that this narrative of Christopher Columbus is false, but our kids are being taught that this is what's going on. The first Black history that we're taught is us being enslaved. Then we go into Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, right? Like they don't teach us our culture in schools, right? But we call it history. And we have all this time in these areas of focus for kids. But we don't march down the street to change the curriculum to teach our kids, but we get mad at the product when they become adults and not doing nothing with themselves. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, but I think part of the problem comes back to when you talk about why don't we do this or that for the kids to change education. A lot of it does circle back to when we were discussing earlier what the parents are and are not doing. So that's so when you're asking why don't we care? I mean, I know my audience well. A lot of them are saying the parents don't even care. So that's the hurdle that we're dealing with. And that's why I say, we could talk about the political and changing this law and that law and everything. I say it's cultural. I say it's things culturally have to change. That's why I probably will wear the tag that some of us get called culture warriors as an insult, but I will gladly wear that. Because I think a lot of it comes down to culture more than anything else. Culture is more important than policies, because it's so many things in my life. Not to just make it personal, but when you got the right mindset, whatever the policies are, whatever the amount of funding that is being sent to the school, whatever this, whatever that's going to be overcame by the right mindset and working hard. I understand that when you look at the group, more people in a certain group where certain things are not right, there's going to be a higher percentage of them that are going to fall behind. I get that, but I think that can be fixed from within culturally. I don't know. I mean, I'm not convinced that we can legislate our way out of a lot of these problems. I'm not convinced of that.
Of course, there's self-help. There's understanding that of self-reflection is there. There's a lot of that. I'm not pertaining to. I'm not speaking about parents. I'm speaking about kids that are born in situations that they can't help. Now we have to care about those individuals, right? Like, I understand the brother right here says, stop trying to dip into brothers' taxes. If you want smart kids, marry well, move move to a diverse traditional community, right? And I get it, right? That is someone probably who has their ducks in order, right? They probably have worked hard, did what they had to do, right? So let me talk to you a little bit about that. And I love that he said that, because there's a lot of opinion like that, right? But I would challenge you and then say, why do we care about homeless people? Is it because they're in the way? But why do Americans care about homeless people? Do we drive past them and be like, they should just make better decisions in life. I'm not helping them. Stop. They need to get their life in order. They need to do what they need to do to get their life in order. Why do we care about that, right? Well, I care about the kids who are born uneducated, not knowing the ramifications of life with the decisions they're making because their parents are horrible, right? Now, I agree there are hardworking people that don't want their taxes touched and all that. I get it. But all I'm saying, there's a humanality thing that comes into this thing. I have not once mentioned bad parents and what we need to do to help them, right? I'm talking about kids that can't help themselves. Those they don't have a voice. They're not able to go down to legislation and do things, right? They're expected to meet a standard when they're 18 years old to come into this world full throttle, ready to go, take care of themselves. When their life has been difficult, when your mom's on crack, she's not there, but she's a functional crack addict, and she's taking care of you the best way she know how, but she's never there. You're hungry, you go out, you do some things, you're in the system now, juvenile, because you done did some things you're not supposed to do. Are we saying that we should not have resources for this kid? Are we then saying because everybody should worry about themselves, we shouldn't worry about those kids? It's kind of hard for me to be on ground zero and believe that. I don't care about the parents that don't take care of their kids. I care about the kids that are not being taken care of. That's it.
All right. Shout out to Trey, and that's Trey the MBD. I didn't even realize that. But shout out to Trey. He says shout out to Christopher's little brother, Bartholomew. Bartholomew Columbus for founding Santo Domingo. I will hold on. Let me make that bigger. I got a strategy to help my when I'm not seeing that. For founding Santo Domingo, I wouldn't have met my wife, and the passport fellas wouldn't be about to put that work in. Salute. Thank you, Trade MED, for the super chat. I understand where you're coming from, Akeem. I understand where you're coming from. I do. It's true that kids can't control the conditions that they were born in, and so I do understand. I do understand where you're coming from. The heart that you have for helping the kids. I do understand that. I do understand that. I just feel like so many times, and this is a foreign concept for some people, but so many times we always talking about, what we got to do for the youth and for the children and for this and for that. There's so many things that starts at home, and if you, I feel like the person who's reaching out, trying to help every kid, mentor every kid as possible, it's almost like he's throwing a rock into the ocean or a river. It's making a nice ripple, but it's hard. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's completely futile, because I mean, in your personal life, you've actually personally helped some people. So I know there's some. So you can't just look at it and just and turn away from it. But it does seem futile when the focus is on mentoring and reaching out and doing this and doing that. It's throwing a rock into the ocean. It starts at home. But it's a tough one. But your career got you entangled into it, because when you're actually doing your job that you get paid for, you're essentially mentoring the youth.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more entangled into that in a way that other people are not. But here we go. We got Manna Tomorrow in the building. Going to pass the mic to him real soon after I read the super chat from Big Mac. Shout out to you. He says, Big Mac says, teachers union in Chicago only protect white female instructors, but they do nothing to protect black teachers who lose their jobs at the drop of a dime. So there is a racial and LGBTQRS slant in
he's right.
unions.
He's right.
Interesting. Interesting. But without further ado, MOT, go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
All right. Wait, hold on a second. Let me pause the YouTube. All right. I mean, I think it's wildly hypocritical to say that we care about the children of those people, of the parents that he don't care about, when they're part and parcel of the same group of people. I mean, the parents create the situation for the kids to actually grow up in.
Mm-hmm.
And those kids have other kids who are actually doing the right thing to actually look at as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the reason why those kids decide to do what they are doing is because they get a power trip out of doing it, because they live in these environments where nothing's really at stake. And they take that nothing's at stake mindset into other environments where it don't belong, called the school system and other things.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm just saying, look, we have to stop caring about these people. You drop the information and you move along. Now, for all these people who care about these kids, I suggest the government pays a lot of money for nonprofit organizations. So there is no need for a person to claim to be community minded without a nonprofit organization to help kids. I don't want to hear about black men without their stuff together who care so much about these kids. There is a way to help these kids. A nonprofit organization, as long as you say what your mission is, the government will fund it. As long as you promise a specific type of directive and outcome, this can be done. The reason why I don't do it is because I think it's a waste of time, because the parents don't want their kids to be better. That's why they chose the individual to which they chose to be in this situation in the first place. They kept thinking that making the circumstances so bad was just going to make people walk in and take care of their responsibilities for them. And we've now seen this for 50 years and it didn't work. So we have to stop saying that we're community minded in 2021. We got to drop that, because at the end of the day, nothing's happened. You still have the same women making the same decision-making processes that led to these things in the first place. And these women see other women who are far older than they are, sisters of these women and everything else, that go through these circumstances. So at this point in time, they go through the stuff because they want to go through it. And we have to stop caring, because you got to turn the trajectory around. The caring about people that you can't control model isn't working. So now you have to not care about the people that you cannot control model. That's what you have to do right now, the doubt of the benefit. Because most of these community-minded people, because see, I'm going to tell you how this works. Nobody really care about these kids. As soon as these dudes gets around these kids, you know what they're trying to do? Screw the mother. That's what they're here for. They're here to be closer to the women, so that way they can have a better batting average of getting with these same women. They don't give a damn about these kids. That's what the problem is. And this game has been ran so many times. Who you think are getting these women pregnant in the community? Yes, the people who are supposedly helping the actual women with their kids. I mean, this is what we got going on, man. And you know what, man? We just got to pull the cover on this fake say the community, I care about the kids stuff, because there ain't no way to help these kids. These kids are by bad decision-making process and programs. And unless you're going to extricate them from that environment and bring them into your environment 100% of the time, so that way you can actually rehabilitate these actual kids, there's no way to help them on a piecemeal basis. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, thanks, MOT. That was deep. Akeem, you got the floor, you got the mic. If you would respond to that one.
Yeah, and like I said, man, I respect everybody's opinion in regards of how things should be ran. I mean, we're all men, especially black men. I mean, I think we lack that the most. We don't have too many cares and about situations. So I appreciate what he said. I beg to differ only because I see results. You get what I'm saying? When you
whoa. How?
So the results in my community, for one, so we went from a 40% graduation rate for our black kids to 98%. So this happens by less suspensions, more resources that we reach out for, hiring better teachers. When they graduate high school, then we have programs that's called Better Youth of America that we organize outside of our communities to help them through college. Now, you got mentors here on college. We develop mentors on college for these kids to continue to go to college. They need help. This is the people you can talk to. There are ways of helping kids. Now, we just said, I'm going to wash my hands of our youth, and there was no people around to help these kids, then who are going to, why do we complain about crime rate and murder rates in Chicago or Oakland or Florida? Why do we complain about
wait.
if we don't want to teach our kids for change?
I think that you did a whole lot of whataboutism. I think you didn't even address my concerns at all. I'm talking about these kids did all that stuff because they changed what they were doing. They had actions that led to everything that you just said. Actions led to that. Parenting led to that. You just can't say program equal this, equal better decision making for child. That is a choice that these children have made. So I think that you're leveraging the good that happens through the actual bad decision making process that continues to happen. It's just that, look, if the women are not going to choose men, they're going to stay around to raise the actual kid that they're going to have. We can't have these other programs because, like I said, most of these dudes don't care. At the end of the day, the kid have already decided whether or not they're going to pick up a book.
So
whether or not they're going to go after sports. They've already decided this stuff. And those outcomes that you're leveraging doesn't really comport with all the time being wasted by the women choosing those actual men that have these kids grow up within these circumstances. Most of these kids are making these choices outside of what their parents want. Like there's two ways that this can happen that I've seen personally in all my time trying to help those kids in the Mississippi Delta. The first way, you're socialized in. This is what you think. This is what you believe. This is how you're going to act and operate. And then there's the other way. So many people in my family have ended up with XYZ type of outcome. I'm going to go all the way over and act like something else, like a participant within society, to actually get those outcomes. It's still an individual choice on the child. You just can't say these are the actual outcomes and equal. No, these parents have to parent their kids. That's how that happens. And if they don't have good outcomes. That's
it. I agree with you on that. And if you knew me, then you would know I believe in you, especially with the women thing. Even on my channel, I talk about, the absence of the women accountability, right? They have no accountability of having kids, blaming on the father not being there, and then women high five them all day long on them being single mothers. They're paraded, right? I get that, and I understand that. What I'm saying to you is that from ground zero, from my viewpoint, is that I'm helping young men grow up to be leaders of their family, leaders of their communities. And in order to make good decisions in the women they lay down with, to have these kids, to have better kids in themselves, and making those people great for the world and the community. So that's my vision, right? So I'm not saying let's not hold the parents accountable, nor am I saying they're doing great things. I'm saying that is not my concern. They're not my concern. My concern is when the kids come to me, my job is to educate them and show them there are outlets in different worlds in order for them to be successful.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can't lose sight of the fact that he's an actual high school principal. So it is his job to care. He's not the guy who's out just talking a big talk about the community and mentoring the youth and really just doing that for more access to the women. Like we know that.
I don't care less about that.
Yeah, we know that fake hotepping type. I mean, this is an actual school principal who got it's his job, So there's the factor we got to average in the equation. Go ahead, Monty.
All right, so this is what I'm saying. I understand the position that he's in, but I'm just saying for every other man who's not a principal at a school, The only community you have to worry about is your household. That's the only community that you're worried about. So once you care about the community, goes outside of the household and start being an external thing, that's when these things start to run into the problems that I stated. People who are community minded and all this kind of stuff when they don't have their own household in order. Because if everybody had their household in order, why would everybody need to be community minded all of a sudden? Because you have a lot of this stuff go on here within this space outside of what he's saying, which is good work. That's his job. That's what he's hired there to do. But I'm just saying there's a lot of people who's not hired to do that, and that's what they're doing. So what I'm talking about is what happens outside of the trained professional, which makes up what the majority of what happens within the black environment. A lot of people who's not principals are trying to do what the principal's job is.
NYC Song Man in the building. He says, salute Bernard Mods in chat. He says, folks have been chanting save the children for 50 years, and still we have an army of little Dirks and their disciples rising to prominence. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that, NYC Song Man. We also got City of Truth in the building. Go ahead, you got the floor. You got the mic.
Yeah, Bernard, I went ahead and added a link. I put it in chat, and I also put it here on StreamYards. Basically, the link is from it's from a website called MichiganCapitalConfidential.com, and it says that DC schools spending highest in the U.S., but firm claims it's inadequate. Okay, it says, and I'll give you a short snippet. It says, per student, spending by public schools in the District of Columbia outstrips that of all 50 states, according to the National Center for Education Statistics. As of 2012, DC has annually spending a total of $25,038 per pupil. That's larger than any state, and they're still the poorest, they're still one of the poorest and most underperforming school districts areas in the country, in spite of that. So, I just want to go ahead and contribute with that information.
Yeah, but we're trying to overspend on school districts when it's a parenting issue, when it's an actual culture issue. It's a culture issue. It's not it's a culture with the parenting issue, and their school system that spend far less than that have better results. If you look at other countries, it's just that it's the choice that we're trying to make up for with all these other things that are happening in the society within the environment. That choice of who they actually be with turns into all this extra money being spent and all this extra time being spent in trying to correct one mistake. It takes up a lot of things within the environment. So what I'm just saying, for men who are not professionals at doing this, who don't have a track record, education that builds up to caring about these people in a proper way, you got to leave it to those professionals. Because once it becomes everybody else is trying to do a professional's work without the professional background, that's how it gets corrupted.
I could definitely
We are
see that.
dealing, yeah. But we're dealing with the sum total of a decision-making process that happened 10, 11 years ago. That's now walking into a school system. One decision, or even one frame rate of mind. That's what we're trying to correct. So it's just that we have to do a hell of a lot more for the kids who are already here, who are already doing the things that they're supposed to do. Because all the resources get ate up in trying to focus on the kids who's not doing what they're supposed to do. You got to have benchmarking to where you start helping people. Because if the only people who get help are the ones who are falling behind, then the people who are actually put the time in, who did the stuff right, gets neglected within the environment. And I don't think that's fair to the people who actually done it right, to the people who actually do show up to school, to the people who actually do stay out of trouble. I think that we spent too much time focusing on people that are falling behind. They're falling behind because of a very specific decision making process that you're trying to undo thanks to the environment superimposing itself on the actual child itself. So that's all I had to contribute, man. I'm at the VA. So we walk in here and get this COVID test and let me get up out of here. All right.
All right. Good luck on that COVID test.
Yeah, man. All right, later.
You're the best on that. Thanks for coming up, MOT.
All
Appreciate
right.
you. All right. We got Igbo Quinu. Hope I said your name right. He said minute tomorrow. Speaking facts. We are closing in on the 3-hour mark. I normally don't like to go beyond 3 hours. I will every now and then if it just get wild, crazy, and interesting. But yeah, we probably nah, we're not about to go super long here. So I'm gonna pass it to the good brother Akeem, who is doing the Lord's work, even though we got a tough crowd in here. Yeah,
I don't mind it, man.
Oh yeah,
men are gonna be men, man. We run households different. We have opinions. I love every bit of it, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, check out his channel. You know, he got a heart for the children. He got a heart for the children. But I mean, you guys will know. You check out his channel.
Not for these women though, man. They out here tripping.
Oh no, he eye to eye and shoulder to shoulder with us on mostly every issue. But when it come to the kids, that's his job, it's his profession. He do got a heart for the children, and I can understand and respect that. I understand and respect that. Some of y'all don't. But I can respect that. But like we've stated plenty of times, the problem is cultural, and it starts at home. And like the City of Truth just put up there sometimes, and I wouldn't even think of this when you were saying it. A lot of times that, from what I've researched, when they do throw money at the problems at those struggling schools, it normally does not help. But you said your charter school, you did actually see some benefit come and happen with that. You did see
yeah, I mean, it depends on who's in charge of people accepting money too, right? Like I don't understand how we don't understand that no matter what money you throw, if leadership is bad, especially leadership that don't have the best interests of the kids in mind, they pad their pockets. They do things that help their own lifestyle benefits. They don't help the kids, right? Like when you got bad leadership, I don't care what money you throw at them. It's going to become a terrible place for the kids to be. So all I'm saying to you is, let's look at leadership from top to bottom before we throw money at them. And then when you give them money, just know that money is going to the right place if you know the right leadership is there. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Ray Clemens in the building, super chat. He says, Bernard, all due respect, what was that? Why do the brother have to hear this? He said, is MOT trying to change his mind and what he's trying to accomplish? Why? I think MOT was making a broader issue about black men in general, saying, caring about the youth, mentoring the youth, thinking this problem or that problem. He was making an argument that's made quite often in this space that it starts at home. It starts with the parents. It starts a lot with the man that woman chooses, or the man or the woman that man impregnates. And you got incompetent, irresponsible people making babies and stuff like that. So I mean that's more to what MOT was speaking to. And I'm divided. I'm divided on that one, not because I think MOT was wrong. It's because when the brother like the brother we got here, he's a principal. It's his job, so he has to fight that fight, and so he's fighting the good fight. But to the average brother mentoring the youth, I mean, if I said this before, with shout out to Obsidian on this, any woman who could find a man who's a good enough of a man to be a mentor to her kids, that should have been the guy she should have been bumping bellies with back when she made the kid, which had the kid by the deadbeat. That should have been the type of guy she should have been after.
I don't believe in. I don't say that's where if you're gonna have something in your home, I mean, that's a decision you need to make. If you don't want step kids, if you don't want all that, hey, I have no problem with a man making that decision. It's something about kids to me with nothing to eat, no education, and we expect them not to be the homeless people we complain are in our way or down the street begging for food, right? You know, like we complain about the end result. We complain about that, but we're not doing enough to further our kids' education. Like if teachers was paid like doctors and lawyers, do you know that our educational system would be turned around, right? Like it would be turned around in a heartbeat, right? Because all the smartest people in the world, all the most intelligent people in the world will come teach the kids, right? Then you got people out here that are really investing the time in the kids and really are mastering their craft in order to teach our kids. But we don't have the same thought process as some other countries do, right? China's 6 days a week in school, right? They want to monopolize the world and with their minds and create things, right? So there's things we can do better. There's things that we do great, but I think ultimately parenting matters, and I agree with you on that. And I also think that a lot of women do things out of order. They having kids, like, right? We got to hold people accountable. Like I'm gonna have on my channel, I'm gonna talk about how this abortion thing affect our country, right? Our communities. You know what I mean? And so there's women have a lot of power, right? And so men as leaders, we have the power in order to not do things, right? But they have the power to not only have kids, but to exit kids. And they're not being held accountable. And we need to do that as a group.
All right, Darius D in the building says culture over legislation. We also got a lot of y'all coming through right at the buzzer. I appreciate that. Xanatos. I'm sorry, I almost called you somebody else. I almost called you Excalibur. Xanatos Clutch in the building says charter school equals boys going to school with African and Latinos, thus not having to conform to being baby's kids to have a social and dating life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the super chat, Xanatos Clutch. And Charles Merchant came back in the building. Let's see, he says, what is the root of your male authority as a principal in your school? Who stands behind you when you have to make a decision based on logic and not emotion? Interesting question. Go ahead. You can answer that one.
Man, like I said, I've been blessed, man. Pretty much, if I need something done, man, they just respect it, man. And we just do it. I tell you, man, I don't know. It's not too many brothers that can say that. You know what I mean? Like I got to get people around me, man. They kind of just respect what I do, how I operate, how I work, and we just make things happen based upon how I feel like the plan should be, how I think we should be doing things, man. I don't know, man. All of my, like, I could literally go to school and in a week I can say, let's try to develop this program, and we will have a group of individuals working on it trying to develop it. You get what I'm saying? And I think that's a blessing, and it's not like that everywhere, but where I'm at, it's highly respected and change. When you got results and change, like, what can they say to you, man? Like, it's like it's proven to work, and it's been working. So,
L Boogie in the building with a super chat. He said he basically said, F was he doing, or if it works. Oh, I think he was referring to MOT, basically saying that MOT. I think he's saying MOT was saying F what he's doing, or if it works, just stop doing it and let the parents deal with it. Well, that was why I specifically said that one, what he's doing in his area with his school, with his charter school, where charter schools do have to technically produce. He said he's produced results, and he's a school principal. So this conversation has leaked over into something that we've talked about all the time in this space, whether or not black men should be bothering even mentoring the youth if the parents don't care. But a school principal, you can't tell a principal not to care. That's the job he's paid to do. He's paid to care and get results. And if he's producing results, results can't be argued with. But when we extrapolate that forward to, people trying to help individuals or putting more focus on individuals who don't care themselves and then overlooking those that got potential, those are fair discussions to be had. those are discussions to be had.
So to talk to you a little bit about that too is like, why is it like we as black men, we need to understand that our job is just not, we're behind. So we need to help each other out. And we get mad at seeing brothers getting killed on TV. Like, how many times you hear brothers say, man, that's so sad, man. Rest in peace, man. I feel so sorry for the family. Condolences. Or you see brothers going to jail in high rates, prisons, and we talk about systematic racism, and we talk about a lot of things that the end result is, right? We talk about a lot of bad choices people make to get to the point. But they want us just to allow parents just to parents the kids, even though they're terrible. We can't accept that. I can't accept that, right? And that's why you got to hire the people that's around you with the same mind frame of teaching, not coddling bad behavior from parents. So I get it, and I understand. Just some people just don't need to be a part of the kids, right? Just put your energy into something else to build our community up. You don't necessarily need to deal with the kids. Let those who deal with the kids deal with the kids, and maybe your specialty is to go to legislation and get laws changed in order for our communities to be policed different, or you're opening up small businesses for our communities to thrive on. You get what I'm saying? Like, that may be the area you can help the community in. But if you're saying don't help the community at all, then I just don't agree with that. You know what I mean?
All right, we're gonna wrap it up right there. No, this was definitely some good stuff, good conversation. Definitely love the perspective of this brother. Make sure y'all go subscribe to him. And like I said, I mean, he's been doing this for a while in podcast format. And like I said, you go check out his channel. He's interviewed Coach Greg Adams, Dennis Sperlin, a lot of brothers that we know and love in this space. So make sure y'all go and check out his channel. Definitely a good brother out there doing the work, doing the Lord's work, right? So make sure y'all check them out. And one last thing before y'all formally leave, a lot of y'all clicking off already. I dropped a pre-recorded video yesterday. Y'all go in and click on that and watch that as you leave. Just click on the pre-recorded video, go in and get that another view and another like if you haven't watched it already. I dropped a pre-recorder yesterday. I want those pre-recorders to kind of blow up a little bit. I'm trying to intermingle live shows mixed with pre-recorders. I'm gonna try to get to the point where I drop a pre-recorded video each day. So make sure you check out the pre-records, and also make sure you subscribe to the brother Akeem, the Raw and Uncut podcast, the Raw Truth. Your podcast is called the Raw Truth, but YouTube channel is Raw and Uncut. Is that correct?
So Raw and Uncut podcast is my audio only podcast. The Raw Truth. I'm the person on the page doing all the stuff, man. So yeah, it sounds crazy, man, but yeah, it's the same. It's the same. It's just a different entity, man. That's it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll be getting confused. I'll be calling it the wrong thing because I got the Raw Truth in my head, but Raw and Uncut. Okay, so I messed that up a few times.
Good. It's all good, man.
But hey, great show. Make sure y'all check this brother out. He probably will be making the rounds in this space. He do got a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight. So definitely make sure y'all check this brother out. He's doing the Lord's work, messing. Being a principal out there at Eastside High, out there at Eastside High with a bullhorn and a bat, messing with them babies.
It's so funny.
So definitely shout out to him. A lot of people saying that they just sub, so that's cool. Make sure y'all
appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate it.
And we gonna get up out of here, y'all. Peace. Check me out. I think at 6:00 on Soul Provider Speaks channel. Make sure y'all check me out there. That's where I will be headed next after a little downtime. And we are out of here. Peace.